Texas Rangers beat the Arizona, and you get to enjoy Joe Musgrove on the mound against Mookie Betts. Our first baseball game in 112 days, 16 hours and 10 minutes to be specific, since the Texas Rangers beat the Arizona Diamondbacks in the World Series. And Mookie Betts will lead it off for the Dodgers, one of the 3 former MVPs in the lineup. It'll be Betts, Chris Taylor, and James Outman to start against Joe Musgrove. And with that, the 2024 season is underway with ball 1.
Fernando, going from shortstop to right field is not an easy transition, and you were seamless with that last year. How do you explain that?
It was a hard work. It's a whole group behind it. You know, just not myself, but every single one of those person that took their time to teach me a little bit of the outfield. I feel like this prize was for everybody to enjoy right now.
One of the great right fielders in the game from the last couple of years is now playing second at the plate. Your counterpart, Mookie Betts, who is now the full-time second baseman for the Dodgers. I know you guys are going to face off in a month in South Korea in the regular season, Fernando. What is it like being in a Dodgers-Padres game?
The energy is so high that you really cannot explain, but it's just, you know, when you bring so much talent together to play against each other, it's one of the best baseball games ever that you can see and play at the same time. And, you know, you get to enjoy it and embrace it. This is a moment. I'm not going to come back, so I'm definitely going to take my time to enjoy this.
Talk about taking your time. I'm ecstatic. I looked at the lineup and I saw Fernando Tatis Jr. hitting leadoff. How pumped up are you about that?
Good. It's good. You know, it's always exciting when you can come on a horse up. You don't know what's going to happen. You know, in front of the lineup, it's just being able to establish the front line is a huge part for myself.
Leadoff walk for Mookie Betts. Chris Taylor will bat now for the Dodgers. Fernando, I know it was a big off season for you. You went and actually played winter ball in Dominican Republic and played for your dad, Fernando Sr. I'm curious what that experience was like for you as Taylor takes a strike. You play a full regular season and then you go play winter ball. Why did you decide to do that?
It's just the adjustment that you can make on the plate. Also, the league out there, winning ball, it's an excitement baseball, which people can really pay a little bit more attention to it. But the baseball games over there are really good and legit, and I really enjoy my time playing winning ball, playing for my dad. And, you know, me and my dad has found a beautiful balance of how to manage ourselves, of being a father and a manager at the same time. And those are beautiful experiences to take with you.
Is he harder on you or easier on you because he's your dad?
Definitely harder on me.
No question. Check out first Mookie Betts, a leadoff walk. Chris Taylor batting. We're joined by Fernando Tatis Jr. from right field. What did you work on in terms of your swing this offseason, Fernando?
It was more about small tweaks that I needed to confront on my load and how balanced I could get even better. You know, as a hitter, you're always trying to get better. You're trying to always get the feel of everything that you're trying to do. And for me to go to winter ball and experience during live games and do those little adjustments, I feel like it's an advantage for myself that I have in the offseason.
We're seeing video of you in winter ball right now. You just took Raul Valdez deep. Poor Raul Valdez gave up a long 3-run home run to you in the video we just saw. Do you remember that one?
Of course. Oh, man. I mean, this guy has been throwing baseball, I think, since the age of my dad. Is still throwing. It's impressive.
Hey, Fernando, I saw you wore number 23 in the Dominican. Any reason why your dad wasn't wearing number 23?
I told you, I'm the caballo right now, so 23 is my number right now.
2-2 for Chris Taylor. Ball of the air to center field. Chris Taylor drops in the first hit of the Major League season despite Xander Bogaerts' best efforts. The brand new second baseman trying to nab Mookie Betts.
Take a look at this right here. This is the first time that Xander Bogaerts plays second base, and it goes right over his head, but he has the presence of mind of getting it to Kim. But watching Mookie Betts step on second, it seemed like he tripped or slipped on top of the bag. He's okay.
Fernando, that's going to be new for one of your teammates. Xander Bogaerts never played second base before. As somebody who's made a positional switch, do you have any advice for him?
We come from playing shortstop. For myself, one of the hardest positions in the game. Probably the one that you can't adapt everywhere after you from there. So Xander is an amazing athlete. He's definitely going to find a way how to play gold glove second base. And all my trust is in just the capability of telling yourself that you're able to adapt, and he already has that a long time before now. So it's going to be an easy transition for him.
On a strike for James Outman right here, the talented Dodger outfielder, third in the National League Rookie of the Year last season. Betts and Taylor the runners in his first inning of baseball of the year, and Outman's behind a Musgrove fastball 1-2.
Fernando, last year the expectations for the Padres were unbelievably high. They're certainly a little bit lower this year. In any way can that help you guys getting through this year?
Just a little bit more under the radar, but I feel like at the same time when they call play ball, it's gonna be the same thing. I know the teams are gonna try to do what they're trying to do last year, try to beat us, but it's up to us how we're gonna answer back now and play a beautiful baseball for this team.
Hey, do you know, as that ball was hit foul, do you know the ballparks where there's a ball boy or a ball girl over there, the ones where you have to chase after foul balls in right field?
Yeah.
That's part of your pregame scout.
I mean, you gotta know where everyone's at, trying to collab with nobody.
Fernando, why right field for you, and why not think about a switch to center field?
Great question. I feel like, to be honest, Petco Park, that right field in Petco Park, I feel like is even a more important position than the center field in our ballpark, you know? And that same division as well. I feel like that right field in Petco is a monster. And, you know, why you just not throw one of the best athletes out there? And my preference, I just feel like I think balls were headed more to right field last year during all the games out there. And I just want to let my legs out there take care of the game. But right now, I think right field is more important than center field in San Diego.
3-2 for James Outman, the Dodgers center fielder here. And Musgrove hits him. So a walk, a bloop single, a hit batter, and three of the Dodgers regulars, or at least players who will get a lot of time, reach to lead off the season for the new Dodger, Teoscar Hernandez. And Luis Camposano will come out to chat with Joe Musgrove.
And Joe's been throwing a lot of off-speed pitches here. You can tell that he's been working on it. He's trying to get the grip early, as not a lot of fastballs compared to that number 2.
Mike Schilt told us before the game that Joe Musgrove would throw about 20 pitches today. So this is likely the end for Joe Musgrove, just to get some work out some of the kinks after only 17 starts last season. But with inflammation in his right shoulder late in the year. And Teoscar Hernandez's first swing as a Dodger fouled straight back to the screen.
Dodgers, of course, second in the league in runs scored and home runs last year to the Braves. They add Ohtani, they add Teoscar. Eddie, their offense is potentially devastating.
Yeah, potentially it looks long. Adding length to the lineup, putting Teoscar in front, you know, all the focus has been on Shohei Ohtani, rightfully so, as he's going to be their primary DH. The protection comes from the front. It starts with Mookie Betts with a high on-base percentage, and this is what it creates, chaos in the first inning.
Out away by Teoscar Hernandez, 1-2. Still with Fernando Tatis Jr., who was with us in right field as we open the season between the Dodgers and the Padres. We're talking about right field, Fernando. You won the Platinum Glove last season. What goals do you have for yourself this year? How about offensively? Do you set any particular goals, any numbers you're looking at?
but I know I can do way better on that side, so that's been my main focus in the off season. And I feel my confidence is really high. I don't want to put number-wise because that take care of if you're taking the game on a daily basis.
Does this feel like a more normal off-season for you than the things you've had to deal with the last couple of years coming into a year?
Yes, of course. I feel like this one was a good off-season for myself, mentally and physically. And I'm glad I put the work the way I did and took the time to rest and just, you know, motivated myself to go out there and get better on the baseball field.
2-2 for Teoscar here. This will be the 24th pitch without an out for Joe Musgrove. Hernandez will drill it in the air to left field. That's well hit by Teoscar Hernandez. That ball is down on a hop and over the wall. That is quite the start in Dodger blue for Teoscar Hernandez. A 2-run ground rule double. And his first swing in play is a Dodger, and it's Los Angeles with the first runs of spring training in 2024.
Yeah, and welcome to what spring training is all about. You get a pitch limit here, make sure that the pitchers are okay, but this is a hanging breaking ball. Stays up in the zone on purpose to try to throw a strike, keep him off balance, and Teoscar, watch the balance, recognizes it, stays right on top of it, and is able to drill it in left center field. Wind blowing slightly towards right field, bounces straight up, and Azócar had no chance in center field to make the play.
So Mike Shildt will make a move. Again, Joe Musgrove was slated for around 20 pitches. He throws 24. And though he does not get an out, he will come out of the game. First appearance of spring training. Well, we just saw Mike Shildt, and he is the new manager of the Padres. Bob Melvin, a couple of years, went to the Giants. Mike Shildt, former National League Manager of the Year with the Cardinals. He had some nice things to say about you, Fernando, saying he was going to petition the league, like, if you're going to have you hit second and seventh and have a pinch runner for him, could we just play an outfield short and just have Tatis play right and center, but he gets to hit twice? He said you were on board with that plan. Go play right field and center field. What do you think about that?
I was definitely on board. I mean, I know it's a joke all the way at the end, but if someone to do it, I'll be on the front line trying to do that stuff like that.
Fernando, what is your relationship like with your new manager?
It's really good. It's really good. I feel like I knew him before. He was working on the organization before he became manager, and I feel like we built a really good relation, and he's a really high. Dale, vamos a sacar out. He's a really guy that really good IQ in the game, and he has earned my trust. So let's see what this year is going to bring.
Mike Shildt, 3 years as the full-time manager. The Cardinals took over as the interim manager in 2018. Had a winning record every year and led St. Louis to the playoffs all 3 years as full-time manager. So Carter Lowen, minor league pitcher, comes on to face Austin Barnes.
Fernando, you have a new shortstop this year in Ha-Seong Kim. How would you describe him defensively?
I mean, he has showed since he came to the team what he was capable of doing defensively, and it's really impressive what he can do and how he has to take care of business. I mean, now us as a team given the chance to play shortstop, the way he won, I think he's going to do a way better job. Está cerrado la ampalla.
What do you say there, Fernando? Who are you communicating with?
Azócar. I just saw in the umpires have a really tight zone today.
You could tell from right field.
Yeah.
Best spot to say is wherever you play. When you were playing shortstop, it was the same thing. It didn't matter.
It doesn't matter, exactly. You need to pay attention to this, and those are tiny details that make the difference.
Mike Malinsky is the plate umpire to start spring training today. And the zone was good there for you.
Just call that.
He opened it up for you, Fernando.
He gladly heard me. Thank you. Thank you, bye-bye.
Austin Barnes down looking. There's the first out of the season.
Took the replay. It was a breaking pitch after attacking him with a fastball. Good frame job behind the plate.
Hay uno.
too close to take for Barnesy.
Here's Gavin Lux DHing for the Dodgers today. This is a welcome sight to see Gavin Lux back on the field, specifically this field, because remember, it was last year here in Peoria where Lutz was trying to avoid a throw going from second to third, twisted his right knee, ended up tearing his ACL, suffering major ligament damage, and he missed the whole season. So he is DHing today. He's not in the field yet, but the expectation is that Gavin Lux will be the Dodgers opening day shortstop 1 year after that was supposed to be the case.
And I checked with a bunch of their guys, and they said he is moving very well this spring, unexpectedly well given what he's been through. But they really need him to be their everyday shortstop because we know he can really hit, especially right-handed pitching.
Couple runners on base from here, and 3-1 to Gavin Lux. Dodgers with a 2-run ground rule double from Teoscar Hernandez, and a 2-0 lead here in the first inning of spring training. These two teams are starting the year a little bit earlier than everybody else because they'll start the season in Seoul, South Korea, about a week before the rest of games start, as Lux takes the second walk of the Dodger first inning. Fernando, how has that impacted your preparation, having to start about a week earlier than most teams?
I was even more excited that I decided to myself to play winter ball. That way I kind of come to spring training already built up, and just when I come in, it's a thing now instead of building up right away, because like you said, we had an earlier start than anybody else, but definitely we put the work in, and you know, you just got to be ready a little bit sooner than the other players.
Chris Owings batting for the Dodgers here. Fernando, this is the weird part of spring training earlier, where you have so many players that come over from minor league camp, and 40, 50, 60 guys are on the roster. Like Carter Lowen's one of 2 number 94s. Do you even know all of the people that are on the roster and the extra players right now?
You try to introduce to everybody. You know, as good as you are, you're not going to remember everybody's name, but you're always trying to pay attention to remember stuff, or 1 or 2 stuff from the guy you introduce, and from there you go yourself and you start building that teammates' trust.
Hey, Fernando, do you have issues picking up the ball off contact here because there's not that extra deck, especially with the high sky?
It's an infinite sky. I don't know if it's really hard of me picking it up. It's more of, you know, if a timing thing when you see the fly balls of, you know, how calm can you stay, especially with this infinite sky, because you cannot really tell. You cannot really measure how high or how low the ball is going.
Eduardo, you've done this before, gone overseas to play the opening game of the season, and then come back and waited a week to play more games than count. How difficult is that?
I'll tell you this, Fernando, I'm going to give you a little heads up here. Get some hits over there in Korea, because you come back to spring training and you don't want to be over.
That's right. Thank you. I'm going to put that back in my pocket right now.
Well, the thing is, the San Diego Padres come back and play 2 more games against the Seattle Mariners spring training before starting the season in the mainland. So it's going to be really interesting how that dynamic works.
In the air to left from Chris Owings. That ball is yanked deep into the corner, and that ball is going to land in fair territory. And it is the second bases loaded ground rule double of this first inning.
Yeah, and that ball right there, Jackson Merrill's in left field. He's a natural shortstop to start off with. He was playing very shallow in left field, not respecting the power and the way the ball travels here in Arizona. Ball stays up in the air a long time. Those balls usually get caught, but because he's playing so shallow and he'll stay playing shallow, it ends up falling in fair territory.
Again, another player playing out of position, essentially, a shortstop playing left field. But this kid is such a good young player. He's got a chance to make the team if he can do something in the outfield. And you're right, Eddie. That was a difficult play with the wind and that sun and where he started the play.
Andy Pages is the Dodgers 8-hitter. Good young outfielder who takes strike 2. How much have you seen of Jackson Merrill, Fernando, in an important big league camp for him?
I've seen a lot, and I think I already said enough. I think this guy should break with the club. What he brings to the field, the energy, how he plays the game, you know, he plays the game the right way. And I agree he's going to adapt really good in left field, especially with the talent that he has. But I definitely hope he breaks for the team, because this guy is really impressive to watch on a daily basis.
Get on your horse, Fernando. It'll be a little out of play. So Jackson Merrill's 20 years old. He's never played above Double-A, but you still feel really confident he should be a big leaguer day one.
That age is just a number.
Well, I mean, they have Ethan Salas, who's 17 years old on the team. How old does he make you feel?
Oh my God. It's
in the right field. And Fernando, that's going to be the smart play. No need to throw all the way through this early in the year. It's a 2-run hit for Padres. 6-0 Dodger lead here in the first inning. Well, we've had you on for 46 pitches already, Fernando. I feel like you're going to break a record for the longest in-game interview. So we should probably let you go soon.
Oh my God, what's going on?
You get enough of a workout in there already?
I'm getting my cardio in.
Kevin Padlow's the #9 hitter. Before we let you go, if you can tell the folks, where did you get the nickname El Nino? Who gave you that?
It started on winter ball, 2018, 19, I think. And it was the year we won the championship. I was playing really good baseball at the time. And I was the youngest, I was just the smallest one of the group, the youngest one. So everybody started calling me a Nino, Nino, Nino. The next thing we know, here we are. But I started all the way when we won the championship with Las Estrellas Orientales back home in winter ball baseball.
Well, good luck trying to bring a championship to San Diego back here. A lot of people will be calling you El Nino if you're able to pull that off.
Definitely on my book that I need to accomplish.
Hey, Fernando, thanks so much. I know this has been a long inning, but thanks for sticking through it with us. Oh, boy. Fernando, this might be on you. You might never have to wear a mic again. Kevin Padlow to the deck in left field. It's a 2-run home run, the 4th 2-run hit of the inning, and the Dodgers have put up a first-inning snowman.
Well, we told you what a great offensive team this might be. They got 8 with 1 out in the first inning.
And you know what, they've been doing it with the off-speed pitch. We saw Teoscar Hernandez get his double, ground rule double with an off-speed pitch. This one right here, just hanging. And it's early in spring training. Pitchers are still trying to get their bearings, and the hitters right now seem to be way ahead of the pitching.
Well, Mike Schultz going to make a second pitching change to the inning. Fernando, a real pleasure to talk to you. We cannot wait to see you play this season. Thanks so much for joining us. Go get 8 in the bottom of the first, El Nino.
If you struggle with CPAP, you should check out Inspire. No mask, no hose, just sleep. Inspire. Learn more and view important safety information at inspiresleep.com.
You give, and you give. This tax season you get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get unlimited data. You get America's most reliable 5G network. You get a Samsung Galaxy A15 for only $99 so you can give your janky phone to your kid. Yeah! Good talk.
Turn your tax refund into a U-Fund. Switch to Straight Talk for plans starting as low as $25 a line. Find us at Walmart and StraightTalk.com.
You ever just look at them and think, yeah, I'm doing all right. Life's a trip. Make the most of it at Best Western.
Introducing Kohl's new home collection. Get Sonoma Goods for Life bedding starting at $39.99, decor starting at $12.99, and kitchen and dining picks starting at $6.99. Plus, rewards members get 15% off home finds. Discover something for every room, style, and budget. Kohl's.
All the parts you need at the prices you want. Guaranteed to fit every time. So you can keep your ride or die alive.
All right, we've had more pitchers than outs so far in the Major League Baseball season. Gabe Mosser is the third of this San Diego inning, which has seen now 51 pitches, 5 hits, 2 walks, a hit batter, 8 runs, and one Fernando Tatis Jr. two-way interview that was about as long as Ben-Hur. And Mookie Betts is going to get his second at-bat of the game here in the first inning. Hey, if you're a Dodgers fan, guys, great sign of things to come in 2024. My gosh. Mookie Betts started this whole thing off with a walk, and Betts drills one to left. There's Jackson Merrill, the new left fielder, who glides into the second out of the first inning.
Eddie, a lot of these veteran players usually just get a couple of at-bats in a spring training game. He got 2 Mookie's had 2 at-bats. We haven't even gotten to the bottom of the first yet.
2 at-bats and 2 really good-looking at-bats, right? That's what you want out of spring training if you're Mookie Betts. Get to see pitches. He did in the first at-bat, walking. And now with that line drive out and left.
Chris Taylor drills one to center field. Jose Azocar is there, and what do you know, a couple of hard hit Adam balls. A cool 8-run top of the first inning for the Dodgers. Welcome back, baseball, just the way we drew it up. Fernando Tatis Jr. is going to swing the bat when we come back. Now, including Fernando Tatis Jr. leading off, Xander Bogaerts, yes, at second base for the first time as a professional, and Jackson Merrill, one of the very good young players for the Padres. 82-80 a season ago after a great September and October, but really struggled for much of the season in close games. Looking for a bounce-back season. A San Diego team that still has talent all over the field, and we'll see Tatis lead it off against one of the right-handers fighting for a spot at the back of the Dodger rotation. I think that's Gavin Stone, more in 5th rounder of the 2020 draft.
Yeah, these are important spring training games for the Gavin Stones. Comes in, has to be effective early on throwing strikes.
All right, we just talked to Fernando Tatis Jr. in the top of the first inning from right field. We're going to go out to left field now, where one of the new Dodgers, Teoscar Hernandez, is mic'd up for us. Teoscar, happy opening day.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
How are you feeling that your first swing as a Dodger in play resulted in a 2-run double?
Oh, great. Just happy to be here, you know, an awesome organization. Just glad that I'm here to be part of this team now.
Teoscar, why the Dodgers for you?
It just, I think for me, my free agency, one of the first things that I think about was going to a team that wins. And I didn't have like that many options. Like you guys know, in this free agency was a little weird. And Dodgers gave me the best option. The only bad thing was because 1 year, but here we are and just trying to do the best that I can here and just go after it again.
Teoscar, when you look at that Dodger lineup, what do you see?
Oh man, it just reminds me so much of the 2021 season when I was in Toronto. When you see like from top to bottom good hitters, and it's right at me. When you see a lot of good hitters throughout the lineup, it just it makes you better. It makes everything easier. You learn from it, and obviously I got a lot of hitters here that I can learn from.
Okay, really quick, you just had a messaging there with James Outman in center field. What were you telling him?
He was asking me about the sun. Sun is right at me right now, so a fly ball here is going to be a little bit harder to get it.
Welcome to Arizona.
Yeah, I think in every field, the left field, always the sun is in front. So I haven't played much here, and this is new for me right now.
Xander Bogaerts, who also made a position switch, now the second baseman for the Padres, swings through strike 2. You played a lot of right field, mostly right field the last couple of years, Teoscar.
Yeah, most of my career in the big leagues, it was in right field.
What's playing left field like?
I feel like everything is like across. It looks weird. Like I feel like I'm out of spot in here. But you know, it's something different, not something that you used to do. So I'm trying to take as many reps that I can in left field during batting practice and all that stuff, so I can get used to it.
All right, you might have to back this one up in the high sky.
No, he wanted no part of it.
No, I don't. I don't. Yeah.
Hey, Teoscar, we want to ask you about Shohei Ohtani, but we got some quick video from yesterday first.
Buenos días. Buenos días. Dodgers. Sí, buenos días, fanáticos.
¿Fanático?
Sí, fanáticos. Fans.
¿Fanático?
Fanáticos.
Buenos días, fanático.
Sí. Llama. Hey. Buenos días. Buenos días.
Buenos días.
There you go.
So you were teaching a little Spanish to Shohei and Yoshinobu Yamamoto yesterday?
Yeah.
How'd that go?
Yeah, I told Ohtani from the beginning that I'm gonna try to do something new for him in Japanese every day. So.
How much Japanese have you learned?
Not a lot. It's not easy, but yeah, I just try to have some fun, you know, get to know each other and have a great time. You know, baseball.
I think you guys are going to do that for sure. Teoscar, congratulations on the new deal. We're excited to see you in Dodger Blue this season.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Teoscar Hernandez, a new Dodgers left fielder. He'll bat when we return. Just down the road in Glendale, the Padres and the Dodgers 3 Eastern, 1 local. Then we'll take a week off, and then we'll go to Florida. Yankees, Mets, Braves, Red Sox, Tuesday, March 5th. Thursday, March 7th, all those games on ESPN and the ESPN app. Getting you ready for March 23rd in Seoul, South Korea, with the Padres and Dodgers kick off the regular season. Shohei Ohtani is aiming to play, be in the lineup as the DH for the Dodgers on opening day overseas, and what a sight that will be. The Japanese stars Ohtani and Yoshinobu Yamamoto opening their Dodger careers in South Korea. James Outman, the batter for Los Angeles right now, which put up a cool 8 runs for Dave Roberts in the first inning. New pitcher Jeremiah Estrada waiver claim from the Cubs, a big strikeout, big walk pitcher who misses up and in to Outman. One of the new things this year for the Padres, we saw Xander Bogaerts get his first work in at second base in the top of the first inning on a team that is stuffed with shortstops. They have a new everyday one. That's Ha-Seong Kim, who won a Gold Glove last year, Eddie, as a utility player, and on a team with Bogaerts, Manny Machado, former shortstop, of course, Fernando Tatis Jr., Jackson Merrill. Ha-Seong Kim is the best defensive option at shortstop. So that means Xander Bogaerts, in year 2 of an 11-year deal, shifts over to second base.
Yeah, and you talk about being selfless, as we just saw a nasty off-speed pitch right there. But look, Xander Bogaerts and I, we had a conversation earlier, and he's like, I'm locked in here for 11 years. I want to win. And if our best opportunity is with me at second base, then so be it. Let's make that adjustment. But it's been a tough one for him. He says it's because all of the left leg and the hip, he has to have it a little bit more open in order for those throws to be precise at first base. It's a little bit different. It's a shorter throw, yet at the same time, the angles on the turns and on the ground balls, he has to be able to get his footwork right.
1,419 big league games in the regular season. Never played an inning of second, Xander Bogaerts. Mostly at shortstop. He did play a little bit of third base when he came up.
Won the World Series as a third baseman.
This is a really difficult transition from shortstop to second base. Remember, Sean Dunston years ago had played 1,100 games at shortstop. They moved him over to second, and he had a terrible time because he couldn't see the runner coming at him, whereas at shortstop, he could always see him. He told me it was like the field was tilted. Now, it's a little easier to make that change now because you can't clobber the second baseman anymore. But, Eddie, just because you play the middle infield doesn't mean you can easily move over to second.
100%. And I think that's what makes Marcus Semien so special. He was able to make that adjustment from short and go to second and not lose a beat. As a matter of fact, even get better.
Right, and Bryson Stott did a good job last year. Phillies moved from shortstop to second and did a nice job. It can be done, but it's not easy.
And that's why the utility players, I'm so happy that Rollins is giving a Gold Glove award to those special utility players. And Ha-Seong Kim ended up winning one, having played second, short, and third last year.
StatCast powered by Google Cloud. Outs above average, a Major League Baseball StatCast metric. Tracks how you do in terms of your range. Xander Bogaerts was a +3 last year, pretty good. Ha-Seong Kim was a +9. And it's his 18th among Major League infielders. Bogaerts, there's a number 16 there, but that's shortstop specifically. Kim is among all Major League infielders, tracked a +9 at short, at second, at third. Play all over the diamond, very good in the middle. And Jeremiah Estrada finishes off a ridiculous inning. Was a 52-pitch, 3-pitcher first for the Padres. Was an 11-pitch second. 5 swings and misses, 3 strikeouts. It's in English and Spanish. The main card after that. Go to ESPNplus.com/PFL. Kevin Brown, Eduardo Perez, Tim Kirchin, Alden Gonzalez down on the field. It is the first game of the year in Major League Baseball. Yes, it's spring training, but it's still the first game of the year. The sights, the smells, the sounds, and the glorious return of baseball after a year where the Texas Rangers beat the Arizona Diamondbacks to win the World Series. We begin with the Dodgers, who are the World Series favorites, according to ESPN Bet, trying to erase bitter disappointments of recent postseasons past. Luis Camposano, the San Diego batter, against the new Dodger pitcher Michael Grove. And Camposano will pop out to Mookie Betts, who somehow is the less notable of the second baseman in this game, with the move of his former Red Sox teammate Xander Bogaerts across the diamond. Tim, this is still a notable story. Mookie Betts, who played a lot of second base last year, starting the season as the full-time second baseman for the Dodgers.
Right, this is a huge story, and Mookie wanted to move to second base. He loves the action. He loves playing in the infield.
A ball drill by Ha-Seong Kim, the new Padres shortstop. He's got San Diego's first hit of the spring.
But Eddie, I've done the research on this with Betts. I can't find another outfielder who was that good, played for that long, and then moved from a corner outfield into the middle infield. Now, we know Craig Biggio did that. Ben Zobrist did that. 12 guys in Major League history have done it, but not to the extent that Mookie Betts was. An elite defensive right fielder, and now he's the everyday second baseman. And I think he'll do it exceptionally well.
You know what the beauty of this whole thing that I just heard there, Tim? That if you did the research, I'm not going to try to even look for another guy.
You know, and I watched him take ground balls a couple times this spring. He is such a perfectionist on everything that he does. He's going to outwork this position, even though it's a difficult transition.
Slow ground ball from Jackson Merrill here. Padres young star grounds out to Padlow at first as we check in with Alden downstairs.
Yeah, and as Tim noted, Mookie Betts has been pining to play second base. Basically, ever since he joined the Dodgers, it is his preferred position. It's probably no coincidence that his numbers offensively look a lot better when he plays second base. And look, Dino Ibo, who works extensively with the infielders, is adamant that Mookie Betts, at base level, is already a really good second baseman. He believes he could win a Gold Glove there, too.
And only one player in Major League history has ever won a Gold Glove in the outfield and the infield. That was Darren Erstad. But he won it as a first baseman. It's different to win it as an outfielder and a second baseman. But again, Mookie is up for this. Chris Taylor told me he's the best athlete that I've ever played with when it comes to playing other sports. That's why I think he'll make this transition beautifully.
And let's not forget one thing. Mookie Betts signed as an infielder. He was moved to the outfield because there was another guy that was pretty good at second base with the Red Sox, and that's Dustin Pedroia, and adjusted really well to right field. So he wants to come back home, and he knows that this will save his legs in the long run, less running at second than in the outfield.
Michael Grove working to Eggy Rosario, Padre third baseman here.
Raul Ibanez of the Dodgers was telling me the other day when Mookie last year was throwing to second base like during infield, if he missed the mark by literally 2 inches, he would be angry. In other words, the glove, he's got to hit it right here. He's 2 inches to the left, 4 inches to the right, and he's furious about it. That's how much a perfectionist he is, and that's why I think he'll figure out the best way to be a great defensive second baseman.
I would have missed by 2 inches. I would have had a party.
Guys, Eddie only missed by 2 inches. Get over here. 3-1 is a strike from Michael Grove, one of those 5th starter candidates for the Dodgers. 3-2 for Rosario here in the second.
And there are about 5, maybe even 6 Dodgers who are in for that 5th starter spot. It's going to be real interesting, Eddie, to see how this team looks in October, because Walker Buehler will be back, of course, by then. Clayton Kershaw, Dustin May. I mean, they could have a tremendous starting rotation by October.
But that's in a perfect world, right? Tyler Glasnow has pitched, the most he's pitched is 120 innings in a season. And I'm really curious to find out how they're going to be able to manage all those innings this year.
There's a walk by Grove. He puts on Rosario, the Padre third baseman. A cup of coffee at the end of the season last year. 2 on with 2 out for San Diego native Cal Mitchell. Dave Roberts going to join us, by the way, in the bottom of the 4th inning. Get his thoughts on this rotation and how this pitching staff looks now and how it might look as the season goes along. Grove with ball 1 to Mitchell. And there are a whole lot of Dodger starters that are injured right now. Buehler, Kershaw, Dustin May, Tony Gonsolin. How many of them will be back by the end of the year? Will Tyler Glasnow, to your point, Eddie, make it to the end of the year? Unless we forget, this is all behind Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who signed the largest free agent contract for a pitcher in history, but of course has never thrown a Major League Baseball pitch.
Yeah, but he's nasty. I think the World Baseball Classic, he showed a glimpse of that nastiness.
His stuff, Kevin, is elite. His command is elite. Chris Taylor told me he watched a bullpen he threw the other day. 25 pitches. He said he missed his spot 1 time out of 25. This guy has a really good idea what he's doing out there, and an absolutely killer competitor. He can't wait to be in there at the biggest times. He'll be their #1 starter to start the season, having never thrown a pitch in this country.
But no one throws a javelin like him.
Have you seen Timmy's pregame workout?
Oh boy.
Cal Mitchell drills it foul 2-2.
Well, I asked one of the coaches about Yamamoto, and the first thing he said was he is tiny, but even though he's tiny, he's really strong. And look at these back bends that he can do. Andrew Friedman said we've never seen anybody contort his body quite like this guy, even though Tyler Glasnow can do the same thing. But he's throwing a javelin. Eddie, what is that?
Why are you asking me? That right there is just so much flexibility, and that's one thing. Remember, we saw Ichiro always stretch, always be flexible, and you can take care of your body with that elasticity. That's what Dodgers are banking on.
2-2 for Mitchell. And strike 3. Michael Grove ends his first spring inning with a strikeout and strands a pair. So scoreless innings for Stone and Grove, 2 of the candidates to pitch behind Yamamoto. Watch MLB.tv and stream 250+ spring training games and every out-of-market game live or on demand. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. Yu Darvish thrown a little bit later for San Diego. Won't see him the first couple of games. We do see Yuki Matsui making his Padres debut. Another former star in Japan and Nippon professional baseball, a 5-time All-Star. At 5'8", 165 listed, he signs a 5-year, $28 million deal. And with no Josh Hader, Yuki Matsui is expected to be in the mix to get outs at the end of the game for the Padres.
And Mike Schilt told me the other day, he said he's not very big, he doesn't throw very hard, but he has a really good idea what he's doing, and it's got really great life, late life on his fastball. And you're right, Kevin, he's going to be in the mix late in games quite a bit.
On to face Gavin Lux, who is way behind that pitch, up and away from Matsui.
I think that's the late life he was talking about.
Lures you to sleep with a leg kick. He can change velocities, knows how to pitch both in and out and in pressure situations as well.
We just recorded our first sword of the spring. And Lux goes down haplessly. Well, that's a way to light up the gas lamp district. Yuki Matsui with a strikeout of Gavin Lux to begin his Padres tenure.
How about this pitch here? First he goes with the fastball away, and then right there, fastball away for the sword. Then after that, watch out, it just becomes tough to pick. It can't cover both up and down, Tim.
Dealt in.
Rizzoing is way late on that first pitch fastball. Yu Darvish, who has been in this country, in this league for a long time, said he feels like he's learning from Yuki Matsui because of Yuki Matsui's demeanor. Now, Mike Schilt raved about that to us as well. It's been a very quick adjustment for Matsui. Some questions about how he'll adjust to the pitch timer, and obviously to the different size of Major League Baseballs. He can be a deliberate worker, but once you start to get into the motion and lift that leg, you'll turn that timer off. Matsui, no problem so far, but he does get a little warning there from Mike Malinsky. Make sure you give the hitter a reasonable amount of time to be set. Because this is, of course, year 2, and we haven't mentioned the pitch timer yet until the 3rd inning, where last year in spring it was all the rage every inning of every game.
And I was told last spring, after a week of games, you won't even be looking at the pitch clock. And I said, that's impossible. And that's exactly what happened. The adjustment these players made to the pitch clock was amazing to me. It wasn't a story by the end of spring training.
Chris Owings down swinging, and Campusano will complete the out at first. Back-to-back strikeouts, 4 swings and misses for Yuki Matsui.
That's the 5th consecutive strikeout for the Dodgers, as the Padres pen has come in strong from the 2nd and now in the top half of the 3rd inning. He's doing it with fastballs up and breaking pitches down, getting them to chase.
Yu Darvish wasn't kidding when he said this is a guy who looks like he's been here for a couple of years already. Andy Pages down. Strike 1 to him.
That's a good baseball name, of course. Hideki Matsui was really good. And Kaz Matsui, you remember him, Eddie, second baseman for the Mets? He had a home run on the first pitch of consecutive seasons. First pitch he saw in consecutive seasons. Only player ever to do that.
Right now, the beauty of Matsui is he's getting chased.
Ever to do that.
Right now, the beauty of Matsui is he's getting chases out of the zone. Hitters don't really have a visual in the past, something to go off. So this information is really good, and all those Dodger players, they're on the top step observing Matsui.
2 strikes on Pages here, looking to strike out the side in the 3rd.
Eddie, when you would come back from the winter and now you're playing exhibition baseball against pitchers throwing really hard, and you really haven't seen it for 4 months, let's say, how difficult was that as a hitter to step back in when guys were throwing this hard?
I actually had an advantage because I played winter ball a lot, so that I already came game ready. But for those that haven't, it's catch-up time.
Foul tip that's hung on to by Campusano. Good grief. Welcome to the majors, Yuki Matsui. He strikes out Lutz, Owings, and Pages. One whip after another, and Yu Darvish, his new teammate, loves it. Back to Peoria Stadium, Kevin Brown, Tim Kirchin, Eduardo Perez here in the booth, Alden Gonzalez down on the field, and James Outman in the field. James joins us now from Dodgers center field. Hello, James.
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being on with us. Happy opening day of spring to you.
I know, it feels good. It feels really good. It's a beautiful day. Get to play a different form finally.
What'd you do this offseason? Anything fun outside of baseball?
My wife and I moved, but I wouldn't call that very fun. It's kind of stressful.
Where'd you move to and from?
We moved from like the San Francisco Bay Area to
You cut out a little bit at the end there. Where'd you move to?
Phoenix.
To Phoenix, okay.
Yeah.
So that makes this a nice, easy spring for you to be in Phoenix, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. It feels like another month at home.
You grew up in the Bay Area, right? Right around San Francisco?
Yes, sir.
Were you a Giants fan? Were you an A's fan? What were you?
Grew up a Giants fan. I'd say once I got to about high school, I became more of just a fan of baseball, started being a fan of players more than a specific team. Actually, a lot of my favorite players were on the Dodgers in high school.
I was wondering if, growing up a Giants fan, do you have a lot of family members that still have a hard time accepting you in the Dodgers?
Yeah, I'm trying to convert everybody, but some of them have been slower process than others.
James, who were one of the favorite ones, Dodger players that you followed?
I remember being in high school when Jock was coming up. So I just remember that one kind of being one that stuck because he was a younger guy, rookie at the time. Remember Jock, Agon, I really liked Agon. And we're really lucky to have him now.
James, I know you were a terrific linebacker in high school, right? How does having played middle linebacker help you on a baseball field?
I don't know. I feel like I'm trying to calm the rage all the time, but I think it made me just a little bit tougher.
And James, you were also a tight end in high school. When you watched Travis Kelce play tight end in the Super Bowl, what was that like for you?
Oh, that was, I mean, those guys are freaks in nature. Those guys are so athletic, it's crazy. But I was more of a blocking tight end. I didn't have very good hands.
You play center field. I would think your hands are pretty good, James.
I think they've gotten better once I calmed down a little bit. No longer a football player playing baseball.
Calm the rage a little.
Yeah.
Xander Bogaerts batting for San Diego, 1-2 here.
James, what have you seen so far just being around Shohei Ohtani?
Oh, he's a great guy. I remember first day in Arizona, if he saw somebody new, he would drop everything he was doing, shake their hand, introduce himself. I remember that being one of the things to, you know, my very first introduction with him. Very respectful of all of his teammates.
Does he still drop things to shake your hand, or does he just walk by you now?
He'll say good morning to me. I think we're past the handshaking.
Ricky Vanasco is the pitcher here, by the way, and 2-2 is swung through. An appeal by Xander Bogaerts. 11 pitch inning. James, great to spend some time with you, and we look forward to seeing you more this spring.
Thank you very much, guys.
Keep calming that rage. James out. Majors this season spending over $1 billion. Shohei Ohtani leading their spending spree, but they weren't the only team making splashy moves. Juan Soto, the former Padre, traded to the Yankees for a package of mostly pitchers. Corbin Burns, the new ace in Baltimore, which is looking to defend its American League East title against the hard-charging Yankees. Some of the players that haven't been moved, meanwhile. Where's Blake Snell going to sign after winning the Cy Young? Jordan Montgomery, World Series champ with the Rangers. Cody Bellinger, Matt Chapman. The quartet that's now colloquially known as the Boras Four, all represented by Scott Boras. None of them signed as we open Major League camp. Steven Wilson, the new Padres pitcher, facing Kevin Padlo. All right, Eddie, I ask you, we've spent enough time on the Dodgers being the story, and then the second and third biggest stories, maybe the offseason. Outside of that, what is the biggest storyline that intrigued you from this one?
It has to be Juan Soto with the New York Yankees having been traded from the San Diego Padres. Look, that team is going to be dynamic offensively. And I just think it's one of those situations right there where he's going into his walk year, his free agent year, and he's a great hitter line to line, and we're going to find out how great he's going to be in that ballpark and that division.
Kevin, that was not a good offensive team last year for the Yankees, and Soto's going to change the look of that team just because of the way he approaches every at-bat. He's got plate discipline like nobody else in the game. He's exactly what the Yankees needed. They will be demonstrably better offensively just with him hitting second and a healthy Aaron Judge.
Added Trent Grisham in the deal as well, and also traded with the Red Sox for Alex Verdugo to completely reshape their outfield. 2 for Padlo. Are you worried at all about the Yankees outfield defensively? Judge having to play some more center with a toe issue, and if you play Trent Grisham in center, maybe losing one of your better bats.
Yeah, that's going to be the interesting part to see how it happens, but they have depth, and I think that helps. And the key component here.
That ball smacked to left by Padlo, who's already got a home run in this game, and he will come up a little bit shy of one here. Jackson Merrill tracks it down.
And the key component to all of this is health of Aaron Judge. And if you play him in center field, and he looked like he could play the position there, and I kind of like it. I think his body can withstand. When he got hurt in LA, it was against the wall, but structurally, I like him in center field, and I think it could work for the Yankees.
So here's Mookie Betts, who will likely be batting for the final time today, getting his third at bat. That's walked and lined out to left, both in the 8-run first inning. Mookie coming off a fantastic season again last year. 39 home runs, a career high. He did struggle at the end of the year, and then he went hitless in the division series sweep against Arizona. He has carried that quite personally into spring training. He said at the start of spring, I didn't do anything to help the team. I know I take great pride in doing what I can to help the team. I got to come and show up when it matters. That's kind of the story of the Dodgers season. They win 100 games, and then it was a pretty feeble showing in the 3-game loss at the hands of the Diamondbacks. They really didn't pitch. Betts and Freddie Freeman and many of the other stars did not hit for LA as well.
Typical Mookie Betts, though, like putting it on himself, even though he finished second in the MVP voting for the 3rd time, and he's already won an MVP. But he's always been the guy, Eddie, when something goes wrong, he has to go fix it. He never just comes to the ballpark to work on the stuff he does really well. He comes to the ballpark to fix whatever he doesn't do perfectly.
We're 2 for him here.
You know, but that's what's made him such an outlier of being outstanding at what he does. If it was in right field, if it's going to be at second base as a leadoff hitter, he wants to be great, and that passion you don't teach. That comes within.
So Eddie, would you go Betts, Freeman, Ohtani in that order? 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
You were making out the line.
Yes, because that's how you protect Ohtani. And there's a wonderful article also by Mike Petriello on MLB.com that shows you that protection can come from the front, and it should come from the front, and it comes via the on-base percentage. You have Ohtani hitting behind 2 prolific on-base percentage guys. He's going to have to get pitched when hitting in the 3-hole.
Have you ever seen anything like this? The 2, 3, and 4 choices for the National League MVP are all Dodgers in the preseason odds. Only behind Ronald Acuna Jr., who won it last year. Jackson Merrill tracks down that fly ball from Chris Taylor.
You have Ohtani as the MVP in the American League and 2 and 3 in the National League, and now they're hitting 1, 2, 3 in the order. The record for the highest OPS by a 1, 2, 3 hitter in any season is 950 by the 2017 Rockies. That's Charlie Blackmon, DJ LeMahieu, Nolan Arenado. And this team has a chance to be even more productive than that.
James Outman batting for a 3rd time. could give me a lot of guesses before I would have gotten the 2017 Rockies on that, by the way. Wow. I know Coors Field, but still.
Right. And number 2 on that list is Mookie, Freddie Freeman, and Will Smith from last year. And then you go back to the 27 Yankees with Babe Ruth hitting third.
Of course you go back to the 27 Yankees.
Is that one Combs let off?
Yes, and Mark Koenig hit second. Yes, that was the 1-2. Way to go, Eddie.
Thank you. Hanging around with Tim, you better get your homework done.
And folks, there it is on your bingo card. Your first Earl Combs reference of the 2024 season. 2 outs, top of the 4th, game 1. 1 for Outman. Just to go back at the article you referenced from our friend and StatCast maven Mike Petriello. 318 qualified players that had 500 plate appearances. Only one of those 318 hit with runners on base more than half the time. That was Will Smith, who was the Dodgers' number 3 hitter. So there was no position in baseball that hit with more runners on base than the Dodger 3 spot. Will Smith's a very good player, but that spot could now go to the best player.
Oh, it's going to go to the best player in baseball, and look, and rightfully so. And there's a method to that madness, and it's by no coincidence that this happened. This is Andrew Friedman being diligent, understanding his team, and understanding how his analytical team can make the team better, and going out and getting that player.
James Outman, the 2nd walk of the inning, so Steven Wilson should be a part of Padres opening day bullpen. Very good reliever the last couple of years. He's walked 2. And Teoscar Hernandez will get likely his final at-bat in his Dodger debut.
And Mookie and Xander Bogaerts are wrapping out there at second base. 2 guys that moved to second base this year. Fascinating.
The 2 former Red Sox players in Betts and Bogaerts. Here's Teoscar Hernandez, who said the other day he was close to signing with the Red Sox. Mookie and Xander, of course, big part of Red Sox World Series teams. 2013, beating the Dodgers in 2018. Betts to the Dodgers a couple of years later. Bogaerts, an 11-year free agent contract. He signed with San Diego before last year. Hasn't seen a ton of action at second base in his debut there. The 2 for Teoscar. All smiles pregame, these 2.
They haven't stopped talking. They're still having conversations at second.
Going to be a fly on that base. Hernandez down looking. Steven Wilson has the 8th strikeout through 4 innings for San Diego pitchers. They've settled down since that nightmare first. That's a preseason message from Dave Roberts, 9th year managing the Dodgers, and Dave kind enough to join us from the dugout now. First of all, Dave, happy new season to you.
Oh, this is great. It's good to get back to baseball, and I think we're the only show in the Valley, so this is a lot of fun. Good turnout.
You are the opening act as well. We just heard part of your message to your team about preparation. Why did you choose to make that a part of your first message?
You know, I think that with our ball club, there's certainly a lot of expectations, a lot of noise, and you know, I'm just a big believer in sort of managing things that you can manage, right, or in your control. And I think that, you know, winning the World Series in February or in the summer, it's just not possible. But I do think that, you know, how we prepare ourselves for each day, each game is critical. That ball was up right there.
Jake Cronenworth is going to bring home the first run of the spring for the Padres. The powerful first baseman Cronenworth takes Alex Vesia out and puts San Diego on the board.
Yeah, so I just think that, you know, with that, you know, every player, like I mentioned, has what they think is they're prepared. or the feeling that they want to be the guy in the big spot to catch the grounder in a big spot, or to make the big pitch, or to take that big at bat. But I do think that there are certain great players and championship players that separate their preparation, and it's different. And it is different for everyone. So my ask was to get everyone to raise their level of preparation. So, you know, sort of intrinsically, and I do believe it can be learned, that you can have that real confidence in yourself to be the guy, because the game is so unpredictable. So, you know, more guys you have that feel like they're competent, the better you are.
It's a hot shot to short from Camposano. Chris Taylor throws him out. Dave, we made it one question without asking you about Shohei Ohtani. I assume that's a record for you this spring.
That's a record, so congratulations, guys.
Okay, I want to know, where were you when you heard Shohei Ohtani was supposedly on a private jet to Toronto?
I was at Rancho Santa Fe Golf Club in San Diego playing my worst round of golf. I clearly had a lot of things on my mind. I was playing with Brian Baumgartner, the guy from The Office, and
Come on.
I was pleading to him like, hey, Brian, man, I promise I'm a better golfer than I am today. I just got a lot of stuff going on in my mind. And so he was laughing and gave me a mulligan for the day.
That's Kevin from The Office,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Is he a better golfer or basketball player?
He was actually it's a funky swing, but he hits it in the fairway, so I'm thinking better golfer.
All right, so you find out, of course, you guys did get Ohtani. He wasn't on the way to Toronto. Your impressions of him this camp have been what?
I marvel. I marvel at his day-to-day focus on each day, and then it kind of just really makes more sense how consistent, how great he is. Obviously, the physicality, but to be able to balance, like, man, this guy's a rock star. But to kind of focus each day is really, I marvel at it.
Doc, one of your coaches told me that Shohei's approach is surgical with everything that he does. Does that sound right to you?
It does sound right. Very good descriptor. I mean, it's 8 paces every time he walks the 8 paces to get to the pitching screen for the coach to throw him batting practice. The tee height is the same height every time. The tee is 1 inch in front of home plate. So everything is really thought out, and the same number of swings, and very methodical. And I didn't see Jordan or Tiger or Kobe prepare, but it kind of seems a lot of what those guys did.
Well, 4 for Hassan Kim, a wild walk here in the 4th.
Dave, I'm gonna think that this has to be one of the toughest years also for you to manage, right? You have the top 3 in the lineup. They look like they are rock solid, especially 4 with Smitty also probably in the cleanup spot. But pitching wise, it's always the toughest job as a manager to deal and manage pitching. There's going to be a lot of caveats this year, right? With Buehler coming back from injury, and then you have Glass now. How do you manage all of that, and especially with Yamamoto coming into the league?
It's going to be tricky. It's going to be a little bit of threading the needle. I'm fortunate, guys, that we have a great pitching group as far as coaches, and then front office and training staff and performance. So we all sort of have a lot of conversations. But as you mentioned, Eduardo, Glass now threw the most pitches that he's thrown or innings he's thrown in a season. So we can build on that. But Yamamoto, you know, truth is he's pitched once a week his entire professional career. So that's something we've got to navigate. And then you're talking about Walker, who's going to come back at some point in the season. And, you know, the thing is for us is just to make sure that we don't push him, and because he's going to push himself and try to push us. And so obviously sometime in the summer also we're going to get Clayton back, and we've got some young guys, and Bobby Miller and Emmett Sheehan and different guys like that. So the depth is there. But like you guys said, just managing sort of how we kind of implement these guys and give them a blow and insert a spot starter or a bullpen day, things like that. That's something that we're constantly having conversations about.
Doc, how have you prepared for having to play a game in Korea on March the 20th and then come back and play games that matter after that?
Ooh, get it out. There we go. I think, Timmy, it's more of, you know, I think that if you look at typical spring trainings, you get the starters built up to 6 and 90, something like that. But I think that, you know, that's not going to happen. So if it's, you know, 4 and 60 or 5 and 75 for the starters, so be it. I do think that we're going to get a chance to take 29 players and then kind of insert a guy if we need to and have 26 dedicated for that particular game. But it's different. It's a different ramp up, but there's nothing we can do about it. It's exciting, and I think that's the way we're sort of approaching this.
After it was officially a ground out, Jackson Merrill, Eggy Rosario with a base hit through the left side. 2 on after a run in for the Padres here in the 4th.
Dave, what's harder, managing a major league team game or going in the Pacific during the wintertime in your swim trunks?
Absolutely the latter. I was a cold tub guy when I played, but I haven't been in a cold tub in quite some time. So it was great because CT, you know, and his wife Mary have a great foundation. So a lot of the guys, pretty much every guy showed up and jumped into the Pacific Ocean. So you and your Puerto Rican blood, you should have been out there, Rodo.
To the left. That will send us to break. Dave, before we let you go, we do want to make sure you know Shohei Ohtani is still 7 behind you for the most home runs by a Japanese-born player in Dodgers history. It's Kazi Shi and Kenta Maeda with 1. Nomo's got 4. You've got 7. Hold on to that lead as long as you can.
Hey, it's going to be short-lived, but I'm going to enjoy every day, boys. All right, guys.
The Padres 8-1 in the opener of spring training. As we head downstairs, Aldo Gonzalez is with a very special guest.
Yeah, I'm here with Xander Bogaerts. And Xander, this is your first week at second base. How do you think it's gone so far? Where do you see the biggest adjustments for you?
I mean, it was much different today during the game, you know, as opposed to during practice. I think with me, the big adjustment would be like the double plays, to be honest. I feel like catch a ground balls just with no one on is fine. But the footworks on the double plays, like the throws from the guys, some might be good. Most of them would be good throws, but I mean, sometimes they'll have some bad throws, and that's where I got to make adjustment with my feet, and I feel like that'll be a tough part for me.
Xander, your manager, Mike Schultz, said that his respect for you went through the roof with how you handled the message of moving over to second base. You were an all-star at shortstop. You yourself said that you didn't expect the move to come maybe this early in the contract. What made you so agreeable to moving over?
I mean, in reality, I mean, we have a Gold Glove second baseman. He could probably win one at short also, you know. I mean, the year prior, I was in nomination for Gold Glove at shortstop, but I mean, he's a much better defender than I am. I'm very realistic with that, and I mean, I got to give Jack his jacket, like they say, you know, give him his credit. And if it's going to make us a better team, watch out. If it's going to make us a better team, you know what? Let's go for it.
Xander, the biggest lesson that you took away from last year and what needs to change in order for this team to make the postseason?
We need to stay hungry, you know. I mean, I feel like a lot of games last year, it's like, oh, we gave up 1-2 runs, and it was like, oh, you know, we're over. The game's over. I mean, like, today is a different one. It's an 8 spot. That's hey, a little exception for that one. But, I mean, like, the 1-2 runs, 3 runs, I mean, we had the offense last year that's capable of just coming back anytime, you know, and I feel like that's what we didn't do our best last year. We kind of, I wouldn't say give up, but, like, you know, like get down a little bit too quick.
Do you sense a different type of hunger from this team?
Yeah, a lot of new faces, a lot of new voices, you know, different manager, trading guys, acquiring new guys, you know, a lot of young guys coming out that's I'm definitely looking forward that will help us this year for sure. I mean, you saw Merrill today making some nice plays out there, put a good swing on the ball. So we have a lot of young guys that hopefully will come up and help us this year.
Xander, thank you so much. Guys, back to you.
Got it.
Alden, thank you. Great to hear from Xander Bogaerts, who, yeah, is making his professional debut at second base. Pitcher Kevin Kopps 2-1 to Gavin Lux. Eddie, you mentioned earlier you spoke to Xander Bogaerts before today. He didn't get much action at second base in his first game there, but you think this will be a successful move for him?
I think, well, look, he's a baseball player, and he's an athlete, and he understands the game really well.
Gavin Lux into center field. That's good to see. Gavin Lux with a walk and a hit in his season debut.
I'll tell you who was really looking forward to that conversation ending, and that was Alden, because he was actually exposed right there with Gavin as a left-handed hitter, and you could see him peeking to his right as he's asking the question, saying, please don't throw a pitch. I don't know where I'm going if it's coming my way. Great job.
Bogaerts was talking about hunger. You know, in 2022, the Padres went 30-17 in one-run games. Last year, they went 9-23. Every close game, basically, last year, they lost. And, of course, they lost their first 12 extra inning games. The only other team in history that's done that with the 69 Expos were an expansion team. And the big guys in the middle of the order were normally the guys who didn't get it done for this team last year. That's going to have to change, obviously.
You see the second note there. The Padres had the third best run differential in the National League. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out the Braves and the Dodgers were the only two teams with a better run differential. And yet San Diego misses the postseason, 2-12 in extra innings. They didn't win an extra inning game till game 159. So they were 2-0 in the last 4, 0-12 in the first 158. They had the worst winning percentage in one-run games by a team with a winning record since at least 1900. Manny Machado had a good year, not a great year. Xander Bogaerts, same thing. They just didn't come through in the clutch, even though this is a team filled with experienced players and guys that have been on winning teams.
Yeah, and they can turn it around in a heartbeat. And I'll tell you this, it's the top of the 5th inning, and it's 8-1, and Manny Machado's in that dugout. Usually in spring training, early on in spring training, you don't see your star players in the dugout this early. If they're not playing, they're not there. He's here. And that sends a message to the rest of the guys, because that guy right there on your screen, Manny Machado, is the leader of this team, and that speaks a lot. Players understand that, and he doesn't have to say a word. Just his presence being here means everything.
So you notice that if you're a 21, 22-year-old in your first big league campaign, you notice Manny Machado just being there in the dugout.
100%. And if I'm Mike Schilt and I look to my right, when I see Manny Machado in the dugout in a spring training game, day 1, yeah, that's absolutely 100%.
Chris Owings with a walk. Bases are loaded for Andy Pages.
And one of the Padres told me the best that Manny's been since he's been in San Diego is when he was the guy. No Juan Soto here, and Tatis was out. That's when Manny played the best. He's going to be the guy on this team this year. Now, again, he's got Tatis, he's got a lot of help, but I expect Manny Machado to have a fabulous year at third base.
Not seeing Manny today because he had right elbow surgery in October. Repair of the right elbow extensor tendon. He's had tennis elbow that's bothered him for a couple of years, but he has been throwing for some time now, and he also hopes to be ready for opening day in a month. There he is with Mike Schilt, his first-year manager.
So, Eduardo, one of the Padre guys told me we had too many mouths to feed on this team last year. What does that mean, and can that be even a problem if you have so many diverse personalities and so many star players?
And look, one thing I can tell you is this team understands now why they lost. You know, as you said, too many mouths to feed. That means that everybody was pulling their own way instead of pulling towards the team, towards the little things, doing everything that they needed to do to get W's right. That's one of the big reasons they struggle in one-run games.
Down to third from Kevin Palo. It's Rosario, Nate Mondu, and Nathan Martorella. The first Tinker to Evers to chance impression of spring training. Double play gets him out of the inning, and a scoreless 5th for Cops despite loading the bases. His elbow surgery. Let's go to Alden Gonzalez, who is with Gavin Lux.
Yeah, I'm here with Gavin Lux. And Gavin, you spent all of last year rehabbing from knee surgery. Getting back out there today, taking some at-bats in a real game. What did that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, it was just cool to get back on the field. All last year, I felt like a rehab player, like not even an actual baseball player. So I made the joke, it just feels good to actually be on the field and be a baseball player.
What did you learn about yourself through that process, Gavin, of just not being able to play in a season that you were really looking forward to?
Yeah, it's tough. Last year was a tough year, but it kind of just gave me a good perspective on how much you appreciate baseball. And, you know, I appreciate it even more than I already did before. Having that whole year where you're just sitting and watching it, it sucks. So anyone that's kind of gone through a long rehab process like that understands it, and there's some dark times for sure, but there's always light at the end of the tunnel. You just got to get through it.
And Gavin, we're not going to get to see Yoshinobu Yamamoto in these 2 games, but you actually did get to see him. You were tracking pitches in his first bullpen session from the Dodgers complex. What did you see? What did you take away from that?
He's nasty, man. He can throw that fastball wherever he wants. It's got a lot of life. For a smaller guy, it's like not max effort at all. He makes it look really easy, 95, 96, and splitter's good. It's like a true 4-pitch, 5-pitch mix, and he kind of throws everything wherever he wants. So he's been really impressive, and he's actually really cool to be around too. So I've enjoyed kind of getting to know him a little bit.
Gavin, thanks so much. Guys, back to you.
Alda, thank you. This is one of the great stories of day 1 of spring. Gavin Lux being back on this field. And this is the place where he got hurt last season, going from 2nd to 3rd. Torn ACL, torn MCL, right hamstring damage, and he was all set to be the guy after Corey Seager was the Dodgers shortstop and Trey Turner was the Dodgers shortstop. Those 2 leave as free agents, and Gavin Lux, who was a Dodger first-round pick in 2016, finally had his opportunity. And you guys, I know, remember Gavin Lux really being in tears, being so emotional after the injury, saying, I think every baseball player's dream is to play shortstop for the Los Angeles Dodgers. So here's hoping, as a fan of the sport, he gets through this camp healthy, he feels healthy, continues to feel good, and we get to see him seize that opportunity.
Kevin, remember when he started to play regularly for the Dodgers, it was at second base because they had other shortstops. So that was his first opportunity last year to really play his natural position. Because when he was at second, he was always back of his head. You know, I'm really a shortstop. This is his opportunity this year. And I repeat, he's moved pretty well this spring. That's a good sign.
Dodgers shortstops last season go by weighted runs created plus, which is a catch-all offensive metric. They only ranked 23rd. If you go by wins above replacement, according to Fangraphs, that's offense, defense, base running, they were also 23rd. So it's one of the obvious areas on the team, as Eliezer Hernandez strikes out Robert Perez, where the Dodgers can improve, and they hope they'll improve not by making a transaction, simply by health from last year's incumbent.
Yeah, and if you look at where he's going to hit in the lineup, most likely in the bottom third of the lineup, it takes a lot of pressure off. You know, you can play that position offensively, and he's a left-handed bat that you also need in the bottom of the order.
Brett Sullivan batting for Xander Bogaerts. On the infield, Sullivan pops out to second. Austin Gauthier is there for out number 2. The MLB app is your place for live baseball, real-time highlights and pitch-by-pitch updates faster than ever. Get personalized highlight reels based on players you follow every day. Download the MLB app today. The San Diego regulars are departing one by one. This is Nate Mondu batting for Jake Cronenworth, who entered the Crone zone for the first time with a solo home run back in the 4th. Mondu, very good hitter in the minors. A San Diego team that really believes in its young talent, and they feel like that will help in some ways ease the losses in the offseason. We know about Jackson Merrill starting in left field today. Fernando Tatis Jr. told us in the top of the 1st inning he hopes Jackson Merrill breaks camp with the team.
Well, he certainly helped his case today with the way he played left field, not his primary position, as we know he can hit. A lot of good young players in this system. Ethan Salas, who we talked about, Eduardo, is 17-year-old catcher, remarkably advanced.
And might have an opportunity to see him later in this game as a designated hitter.
That would be something worth sticking around for, as Mondu strikes out former Marlin Eliezer Hernandez with a good first showing in Dodger blue. Tomorrow afternoon, just down the road in Glendale, Dodgers and Padres again. Same bat time, same bat channel. Then Tuesday, March 5th, we take a week off or so. Really 2 weeks. Yankees, Mets, Braves, Red Sox, March 7th, both on ESPN and the ESPN app. There's a diving play at short to kick off the top of the 6th inning. Moved to be not in time with a throw by Mason McCoy, and that's going to be a base hit for Trey Sweeney, batting for Mookie Betts.
Great piece of running just down the baseline. You make contact, put your head down and run, and he beats this throw out. Exactly what you want to see if you're a coach sitting there watching these young players coming out of the gate.
First round pick of the Yankees 3 years ago, Trey Sweeney was traded to the Dodgers this offseason. Deal for Victor Gonzalez.
Kevin, we had an at-bat there with number 89 facing number 89, and we've had how many 94s in this game?
Well, the Padres have had 2 pitchers wearing 94. So how many 89 versus 89 at-bats, Tim, have there been in the history of baseball?
Not too many.
Not too many?
Many years ago, early 80s, the A's had so many players in camp that one of their guys had to wear 100. So he had a 3-digit number on his back.
Who wore 100? Do you know? That we have to figure out.
I think I'm going to be wrong. Scott Heeman comes to mind as the guy who wore number 100, but it was a long time ago. I'm not sure if I'm right on that.
Okay. Well, as far as we know, you are right, because no one's there to second guess you.
I'm not.
So Scott Heeman it was. You heard it here first. The 89 for the Padres, by the way, Moises Lugo, who's in his 8th year in the system. This is a different Lugo, of course. In San Diego, we saw Seth Lugo as part of the Padres pitching staff last season. Departed, headed to Kansas City in the offseason, as did Michael Wacha, who had a great year. Blake Snell right now is headed to nobody, and Yu Darvish and Joe Musgrove are hoping to be healthy, coming back from injury after the end of the season last year. The Padres had the best starting rotation ERA in baseball. 3.73 was the overall team ERA. Starting pitchers in a year at 3.69. So no Blake Snell this year, no Wacha, no Lugo. They get Michael King, Randy Vasquez, Johnny Brito, all from the Yankees. Obviously, Eddie, you don't expect this to be the best rotation in baseball anymore. What do you expect, though, realistically, from the Padres rotation 1 through 5?
Yeah, and that's look, it's all going to lean on Musgrove and on Darvish early on. They have to be able to set the tone, but they love what they've been able to get in that Yankee trade, especially with Michael King. We saw how strong he was down the stretch for the Yankees in the last 2 months. I'm curious to see what Pedro Avila has to offer as well, and Randy Vasquez. Those guys can come in and give them innings. Their bullpen, I believe, is going to be competitive enough. You get Wandy Peralta in there. You have Woo Suk Go as well from Korea. I think it's a very interesting dynamic of the pitchers that they have. We saw Matsui today, and Robert Suarez should be their closer. So bullpen-wise, they're good. It's the starting, it's the starting pitchers, Tim, that I'm concerned about being able to eat up innings to get it to the bullpen.
Oh, absolutely. They're going to miss Blake Snell, who's arguably the hardest starting pitcher to hit the major leagues last year. Go look at those numbers against that changeup, slider, and curveball. Amazing.
Up the middle, there's a base hit for Travis Swaggerty. And Swaggerty will play to run. Trey Sweeney coming across the plate. And the Dodgers have their first run since the first and push the lead back to 8.
So Lugo's been able to keep the ball on the ground. They've just been able to out-hustle them. And right here, Lugo thought he had it. PFPs early in spring training, just a little bit more velocity, and it gets through the infield. Now runners at the corners.
Former Pittsburgh Pirate Travis Swaggerty, 26 years old, outfield depth here in camp. This is Drew Avans batting for Teoscar Hernandez. So the Dodger regulars we see today out of the game: Betts, Taylor, Outman, Hernandez, Barnes, and Lux. Tomorrow we'll go to Camelback Ranch. We'll go to the Dodgers home field. We expect to see a lot more Dodger regulars in the lineup. We're not going to see Shohei Ohtani yet. He has taken live BP a couple of times this year. makes his way back from elbow surgery. Won't see him in games at least until next week at the earliest.
And as Alden said, he's going to hit on backfield certain times just to get at bats. He doesn't have to get them in exhibition games.
Wonder if he can be our other field reporter and help out Alden so he doesn't have to run back and forth from dugout to dugout.
Maybe we just stick Alden with the Dodgers and have Ohtani go interview the Padres.
That'll work.
Ohtani's first BP this spring was on a backfield, and the media was not even allowed to go back there because they wanted to kind of keep it secret.
There it was 10 days ago. Bang. Here's a little flare from Drew Avans. Meanwhile, that will dunk in. The base hit in center field. Avans with the second RBI hit of the inning for Los Angeles, scoring Austin Gauthier to make it 10-1.
I was able to play with Mark McGwire, who I thought had the most power that I had ever seen in batting practice. I was able to then coach Giancarlo Stanton when he was with the Florida, then Miami Marlins. And I had a conversation with a fellow teammate of mine, and now with the Dodgers, and he told me, he said, Eduardo, I've never seen batting practice like Shohei Ohtani's. And during the regular season with the Angels, he never hit outside. So we never really got to appreciate it. And when he told me that, he said, I'm telling you right now, it's up there with those two.
Well, I saw his first batting practice on a real field this spring, and he hit cannon shots all over the place. He tore a hole in the sky to left center field a couple times. His raw power, Chris Taylor told me, is even greater than I thought it was, he said. And he said, but he works on that power. He doesn't just show up and has that ability, which of course he does. He works on that power.
$10 years, $700 million later, we will see Shohei Ohtani soon in a Dodger uniform in a game. We're starting to see him on the backfields. Jose Ramos, a batter here, takes strike one. Look, obviously he won't pitch this season. What he did last season was extraordinary as a pitcher, even more extraordinary as a hitter. 44 home runs, an OPS of 1,066. He's the first player ever to win multiple unanimous MVPs as that ball drops foul. We may have just seen as great a 3-year run as we've seen in the history of the game, Tim, and I know this is the kind of thing that's right up your alley. It's an unprecedented 3 years because of what he's done from a hitting and pitching perspective, but you know, Fangraphs, which is one of the leading baseball websites in terms of wins above replacement, puts a dollar valuation on how much a win is worth. So Shohei Ohtani gets $70 million a year. That may be a slight underpay considering what he did the last 3 years. Then you throw in the marketing side of it. And there are people that think the Dodgers, who of course deferred most of the money, got a $700 million bargain this offseason. Jose Ramos into the left field corner. The floodgates are open in the 6th inning. Swaggerty will score. Avans is coming home, and there will be no really throw to the plate. And the 23-year-old Jose Ramos in his first at-bat of the spring brings in 2, and the Dodgers have 4 runs across with nary an out to be found in the 6th.
And I'll tell you this, guys, one thing that the Dodgers have done this afternoon, they did it in the 1st inning and they continue to do it here in the top half of the 6th, is mash the breaking ball. Any breaking ball thrown up, they have not missed it. It started with Teoscar Hernandez, and then it continued until right now, where Ramos has been able to just capitalize on that hanging breaking ball.
Eddie, is it harder to throw a breaking ball in Arizona than it is, say, in Florida?
Well, it is drier here, yes, and the ball seems to not have that break like it does in Florida during the spring training there. But look, the Cactus League, there's a reason why the ballparks are bigger. There's a reason why also there is a lot of flares that fall in, and there's also a reason why they lead every time in spring training when it comes to double-digit numbers.
Dave Roberts has seen 5 batters come to the plate this inning. 4 hits, a walk, 4 runs. And Ruben Niebla, the Padre pitching coach, with a visit for Lugo. Lugo's the 8th pitcher of the game already for San Diego. Ryan Ward, another non-roster invitee. 8th round pick out of Bryant University, 2019. 21 home runs with AAA Oklahoma City last year. It's one of the things that makes the Dodgers so great, Tim, is not only are they loaded in the big leagues year after year, they are seen as having one of the best minor league systems in the game.
Right, and this is why they've been so great for the last 10 years, is the depth of that system. Whenever they need somebody to come up and replace somebody, they have the depth. They didn't have it, though, at the end of last year when they had so many pitching injuries. That's why they ended up getting knocked out early by the Diamondbacks, because that tremendous depth just wasn't there. Kevin, their ERA last year went from 2.80 to 4.06. What an enormous jump in ERA from one year to the next, and they still won 100 games. It shows you what an amazing offensive team they had.
Of course, the question for the Dodgers will be, can you carry that over right into the postseason? They were completely shut down by the Diamondbacks in the 3-game series last year. It's kind of the gray cloud that hangs over LA all season until they do it again in the playoffs. Did win the World Series in a short 2020 season, as Ward is on base with the Dodgers' 7th walk. And Mike Schilt will go back to the bullpen in the middle of an inning. 2021, 106 wins, beat the Giants in a classic division series, fell short to Atlanta, won 111 in 22. Way outpaced the Padres in the regular season, then lose games 3 and 4 in San Diego in the DS. Didn't win a game in the postseason last year after going 162. So we'll get back to that conversation shortly. Padres going to make a pitching change here. Another big inning for the Dodgers. In the stands today here at the Peoria Sports Complex, as the Padres share with the Seattle Mariners. San Diego and LA opening up spring training a little bit early, since they'll open the season in Korea just about a week before the rest of games start. There's a Mariners fan taking in Austin Davis against Hunter Fiducia, Padres pitcher, Dodgers batter. Davis is, by our count, the 9th Padres pitcher of the game here in the 6th inning. Welcome to spring training, particularly the early days, where guys get an inning and get no more, just to get their feet wet, shake off the rust of a long off season. And a strikeout of Fiducia, who has a chance to get some big league time this year, added to the 40-man roster, but Davis makes him look foolish. All right, so we were talking about Dodgers in the big picture, their regular season successes, their postseason struggles before the pitching change. Are there things you can do, Eddie, in February and March specifically to prepare you for October?
Well, it's all about the fundamentals for me early on. In spring training, you better get at all the, we talk about the PFPs, the pitching, fielding practice. We talk about all the infield work, the fundamental stuff. You can definitely lose games by not being prepared early on. And that's why you have all the managers making sure that they trust their coaches with not letting any little detail go by.
And the other thing they can do, Kevin, is make sure they don't push anyone early. For instance, Walker Buehler would probably want to be pitching in spring training like right away, because he comes firing out of the gate no matter what he's doing. But they're going to hold him back because they're going to need him at his best in October. So that's how they prepare for October, is making sure no one comes back too quickly from any injury in spring training or in April.
But it's a fine line. And great pitching so far by Davis, being able to attack the zone with the last 2 hitters, with inheriting 2 runners on. But it's a fine line because the young players, they tend to already be like 100% ready to go in spring and try to showcase all their skills. And that's where, as a manager and as a coach, you have to be able to communicate that to them. We don't need to see all of you now. We know what you have in the tank, but we need to build you moving forward. And a lot of organizations, they sit with their players when they come into spring training and let them know what their expectations of them are during the spring.
Those young players here, Cody Hosey, first-round pick of the Dodgers 5 years ago, was a 25th overall pick. So he has struggled through his first few years in the minor leagues. 237 with a 294 on base, but he guides this ball beautifully inside the bag at third. And Cody Hosey's going to bring in a couple of runs. That's a cool 1,000 batting average and a couple of RBIs on your first at bat of spring. Cody Hosey makes it 14-1.
Eddie, what does it mean for a young player? Granted, the score is 14-1, but he knocks in 2 runs with a ground ball over third. As a young player, he's got to go home saying, hey, I had a good day today, right?
Everything. It means everything, Tim. You're absolutely right, 100%. You know, and again, another breaking pitch that they were able to capitalize on. It just tells you the focus of what the Dodgers have been doing, maybe at their camp, with those breaking pitch machines, because they've been all over them.
So the Dodgers have batted around for a second time in 6 innings. If the Dodgers go back and win the World Series, we're all going to remember this day when the Dodgers started the season by scoring at least 14 runs in their spring training opener, and we'll say nothing was more predictive than day 1, game 1 of spring training. Trey Sweeney had an infield single to begin this whole 6th inning maelstrom. Former Eastern Illinois Panther, 20th pick in the draft by the Yankees 3 years ago. So yet another first-round talent, and he strikes out. So good news for Padre pitchers. They've struck out 12. Bad news, have given up 14. Not the ratio you want. The Padres to the NLCS a couple of years ago. Owner who had wonderful relationships with staff members, with players. Cause of death not disclosed by the family. Peter was a 2-time cancer survivor and undergone a medical procedure last year. Majority ownership will remain in the Seidler family moving forward. But a major loss for San Diego and for the game of baseball. We were talking to Mike Schilt a little bit before the game, guys. It's clear what an impact Peter made on him in just Mike's 2 years in the organization, and he had that impact on so many in the city of San Diego.
And a long talk with Peter this time last year, and he was so excited about what the club was going to bring. And like you said, he spent all that money in order to bring a winner. I mean, that's the most you can ask for from an owner.
Padres spent $255 million on payroll last year. They're right around the 150 mark right now. It's still a big number for San Diego's market size, and there is still possibly room to add more. I think most folks would assume the Padres do not have their opening day outfield yet on the roster. They did bring back Jurickson Profar. They have Jose Azocar, but there's still possibly some spending to be done as the folks in San Diego come together and try to win this season, in part for Peter, who was not only a great champion of baseball in San Diego, he was just a fan of baseball, period, and a real love for the game. And he will be missed this season and for many seasons to come among the Padres family. bring in Alden. Al, do you have more on this story?
Yeah, and guys, Fernando Tatis Jr. Said at the start of camp that the loss of Peter Seidler was, quote, a dagger straight to the heart. And for all that Peter did for the Padres, he also built such close-knit relationships with a lot of the key players on this team. The first organizational meeting of spring training before the first full squad workout centered on continuing Peter's vision, which was his ultimate goal of bringing the first championship to San Diego. They're going to wear the Peter Seidler patches on their jerseys all year. Manny Machado said he looks at it as he's an angel watching over us this season.
Oh, thank you. Mason McCoy goes down swinging at Steven Gonsalves, the first out here in the 6th inning. It's a great baseball fan base. San Diego, look, is a city that lost the Chargers a few years ago, so obviously the Padres are the game in town, and it was in San Diego last August. The Padres were pretty much out of it. It was there for a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday series. Sellouts on Monday and Wednesday, huge crowd on Tuesday. There's such great support that's been given to the Padres. There's great support from the community. It's a franchise that's never won a World Series. They are thirsting for a winner, and they're hoping that this is a year where they can build on some of the missteps of last season and take a step toward World Series contention once again.
And it's not for a lack of trying either, that they've tried to put out their best personnel out on the field, and Peter Seidler understood who the San Diego fans were and what they wanted, and the fans showed up. They showed up. It was unfortunate that they weren't able to produce offensively and on the pitching side like they wanted to and compete, but I'm telling you, what a great place to go and watch baseball. If it's not the Padres, it's the Aztecs on the collegiate side of it. But Tim, the really interesting part there is how also San Diego's always embraced the military side of it and the veterans, and they continue to do that. And I think that's huge moving forward. And I think a lot of major league teams should learn from what the San Diego Padres have done and continue to do.
Kevin, we met a guy in the stands today, a veteran, and 4 or 5 of his friends came in today and shagged balls in the outfield for the Padres because they're veterans, and the organization feels so strongly about this that they allowed these guys to put on a uniform and go run around in the outfield, meet some players. How cool is that?
That is awesome. Day 1 of camp and making such an impact already. Graham Pauley is the batter here, by the way. Steven Gonsalves with a check on Nathan Martorella.
By the way, fellas, I want to check with you on this. I saw Ken Griffey Jr. yesterday at a Topps signing show.
I do think he should be in the Hall of Fame. That's what you're checking on. Yes.
So he looked right at me and he said, you know, some people retire, you know. That's what he said.
That's what he told you?
What does that mean? What do you think he was trying to tell me? This little old man standing there, he looked at me right in the eyes and said, you know, some people actually retire. Was he trying to tell me it's time for me to go? What do you think?
Oh,
yes. Yes, of course. What other possible meaning could there be?
That's so wrong.
So bad. He had a big chuckle.
Oh, yes, we. You know, Tim, it just tells you how loved you are in the game.
No, Eddie. I'm just telling you that I saw Junior yesterday and we laughed out loud about a bunch of things, including that.
Well, I don't want you to retire, that's for sure.
I want you to do what makes you happy.
Well, this is still what makes me happy. This is my 45th spring training, and coming here and watching baseball is what has always made me the most happy.
Yeah. You know, Junior's become a bit of a photographer in his retirement.
He was carrying a camera around yesterday, taking pictures.
I think that could be your retirement gig.
No,
photographer?
I'm terrible at that too. So we were talking about Randy Johnson, who's a great photographer, and Junior was saying that, well, Randy Johnson studied this in college, and now he's really, really good at it. Junior's only been doing it for about 15 years, but he's really good too.
You sell yourself short. I mean, you've been taking some amateur photography. In fact, we're at a text message chain, and yesterday you responded to something unrelated with an amazing work of art. I want to prepare folks for the beauty they're about to see. What would you define this as, Tim?
That's a butt picture. That's what it is.
That's abstract impressionism, Tim.
I don't even know where it came from.
The Dadaist movement right there. Look at this.
And a few years ago, I had a butt tweet, which is impossible. How that can possibly happen. Then I accidentally said...
Tim, you can stand up. You're still in the shot.
No,
You're still in the shot.
Look, I am the worst artist in the world. My mother used to hang my artwork on the inside of the refrigerator when I was a kid, so I have no idea what this even is. I sent a butt emoji to Ravi a couple years ago accidentally, and it was like a cow. It just arrived. I don't even know how to send an emoji. God, so bad at so many things.
That's going to be the title of your next book. I don't even know how to send an emoji. Tim Curtin. Is this at bat over? Yes, it's a walk for Jacob Markson.
Ravi just texted me like, what is this? Why did you send me a cow? I didn't even know I did.
I got the title. Fascinated by body pages. Okay, so this is really cool right here.
All right, we got to get away from the butt emojis now for a second. We got a 17-year-old who's about to make his season debut here at Spring Training, Eddie.
Yeah, and Ethan Salas, 17 years old, catcher. Top prospect, one of the top prospects in all of baseball at 17. Their manager, Tim, how old are you?
I'm 67. I'm 50 years older than him, and I met him the other day and had a wonderful conversation. He is a very smart, personable young kid.
There's some of the accolades. Signed a $5.6 million contract with the Padres 7 months after he turned 16. Those numbers are good, and they're ridiculous when you consider their numbers for a 17-year-old. He is seen as one of the top prospects in all of baseball, Ethan Salas.
I talked to Kyle Higashioka the other day, and I said, the young catcher's pretty good. And he went like this, pretty good. He is really, really good. And again, he's 17 years old.
And this isn't an easy matchup. Gonzalez throwing that fastball right now between 93 and 94. Sneaky. Hides the ball well. Conversation with Mike Schultz, who managed Yadier Molina and saw him growing up through the organization. A lot of similarities here.
Yeah, you asked about that, Eddie. He said the way that Ethan kind of quietly takes in information, the way he looks around the room, the way he digests things during hitters' meetings, reminds him a lot of Yadier Molina, who Mike Schultz saw at a young age and then saw at the end of his career with the Cardinals.
There were rumors also that the Padres might have been interested in the services of Yadier Molina for one of the coaching staffs. Decides to go back to the St. Louis Cardinals as an instructor.
Up and in for Salas here, 3-2. His first season in the minor leagues last year. He made it all the way up to Double-A. So 17 years old, finishing last season in Double-A. The last teenager to catch in the majors was Pudge Rodriguez in 1991. And can you believe this? He just got rung out in a violation. That's not what we're here to see. Oh, my gosh. Well, when you're 18, you learn. I mean, teenagers can be impatient. We know this. Got to be set by 8 seconds.
Oh, man.
To show on dirt, Shohei Ohtani, the new designated hitter for the Los Angeles Dodgers this season. Moving from Anaheim to L.A., staying in Southern California. And his first impression of his teammates, a pretty good one. Austin Gauthier and the Dodgers leading 14-1 in the spring training opener. No Ohtani today, still recovering from elbow surgery. We will see him soon, it appears. His hope is to be in games relatively soon. It's not going to be today or tomorrow. His hope is to get 50 live at-bats by the end of spring training. That includes at-bats in games and then live at-bats, live batting practice on the backfields as well. He's already picked up a few. He's already homered off of his teammate J.P. Fireeisen.
As I told you guys earlier, I was there for that, and I was waiting for JP to show up because I needed to talk to him about something, and I'm figuring I'm going to get him alone. And as soon as he walked in the clubhouse, there were 50 reporters at the locker because they all wanted to talk to him because he gave up a homer in live BP to Shohei.
Evan Phillips said JP should go get the ball and have Shohei sign it.
I want to know what ticket number were you then? I mean, if there were 50, were you in line number 47, like in the meat department?
I'm not kidding. In order to get into the Dodger clubhouse, I had to wait in line for 7 minutes one day just to get in because there were so many people waiting, and you had to sign in, and they had to 7 minutes just to get in the room.
You should never have to wait longer than 6. You're Tim Kurkjian.
He's not. He's Kevin Brown.
Yeah, you did get recognized incorrectly for me at spring training last year, so I'm curious to see what happens tomorrow in Glendale.
Guy came up to me and said, "Are you Kevin Brown?"
And you said, "Thank God, no."
Right. And the same guy asked me, "Are you the stage manager?" Like, what?
That was a little bit closer. By the way, Lake Bacher is the new pitcher.
Hey, and guys, funny story here. Poor Jason Hayward, earlier in camp, Dodgers manager Dave Roberts was asked who he would nominate as kind of a spokesperson for Ohtani and Yamamoto for the Japanese media. He nominated Jason Hayward. Minutes later, we had clubhouse access, and Jason Hayward held not one, but 2 massive scrums at his locker.
Yeah, Jason did say, look, if you guys want to ask about Shohei, you can talk to Shohei, but he drew the Ohtani assignment because, of course, Shohei Ohtani does not speak to the media every day. He is a unique player. He's a unique person as he recovers from this injury especially. He has been available to the media a little bit more than expected.
Spoken 3 times already this spring, which is a good number for this early.
Ground to second from Travis Swaggerty. We all remember where we were when Shohei Ohtani was erroneously reported to have been on a flight to Toronto, and people were wondering where he was and where he was going. The Montreal Expos thought maybe they could rejuvenate their team and get him back. Everybody wanted a piece of Shohei Ohtani. Army West Point, beat Navy, maybe playing some hockey. Pete Christopher and the mighty Matsu Miners in the Alaska Baseball League. Fine franchise they are. You know, San Diego, maybe the Padres wanted him, the Aztecs as well. Those were just a few of the Shohei Ohtani decision day posts that came oh so close to fruition after one of the stranger 24 hours in the history of baseball Twitter, and maybe just Twitter generally, where we were looking at private jets and we were looking at reservations in sushi restaurants in Toronto, all kinds of nonsense. And finally, Bob Nightingale, USA Today, tweeted, guys, Shohei Ohtani is home in Southern California. And then the next day, Shohei Ohtani announced on his Instagram page, leaked by himself, he was going to the Dodgers. What, as a reporter, Tim, how insane was that day for you? What was your phone like during that day?
Well, that was one of the stranger days ever. But to be serious for a moment, this is why Twitter, is that we're just getting out there as quickly as we can, and it causes all sorts of issues and misinformation. It was not a bright day for journalism in America.
No.
Let's put it that way.
No, for young students who are hoping to get into the journalism field, look at what happened that day and don't do that would be our journalistic advice.
Let's get it right as opposed to necessarily getting it first.
There's a walk for Drew Avans, the 8th walk for Dodger hitters today. And the Dodgers all along, I think it's fair to say, were seen as, if not the favorite, as heavy a favorite as anybody to get Shohei Ohtani. It made a lot of sense. The proximity to where he'd been with the Angels, the comfort of being on the West Coast, and obviously the desire to go play for a winning team. And Shohei Ohtani's deferred almost all of his $700 million salary, an extraordinary gesture, in part because he didn't want to clog up the payroll. He wanted to come here and be a part of a winning team. And that freed up the Dodgers to go sign Yoshinobu Yamamoto to go trade for and extend Tyler Glasnow.
I've been asked at least a dozen times, so I'm throwing it to you guys. Is this a good thing for baseball that the Dodgers were able to spend $1 billion on 2 players, or is this bad for baseball? I get asked this all the time. What do you guys think?
I'll tell you what, though, the teams that have won the offseason lately have not won the season, the one that matters. And yeah, they're spending a lot.
Jose Ramos down to third. My short answer is I think it's a good reason, because the Dodgers are such an amazing brand and franchise that's going to help grow interest in the game. But I understand the other side of it. We're going to be hearing a lot about Shohei Ohtani, though, for the next 10 years in the LA Times, the Newspeak's MLB Big Inning, and more. No blackouts. Visit MLB.com/@bat for details. We have just seen our first 7th inning stretch of the 2024 season. Dodgers and Padres game 1 of spring training. Regular season just about a month away. As a ground ball hit to third here, and a diving play is made. A fantastic diving play, but a throw not in time from Cody Hosey. It's a base hit for San Diego's Tirso Ornelas in the game in the outfield here in the 7th inning.
And Ornelas, who hit 15 home runs last year in the minors, gets it the other way and hustles out of the box. And when you just hesitate a little bit trying to get it out of the glove, Ornelas took advantage of it, got himself a knock.
Kevin Gowdy, the new Dodger pitcher. Robert Perez Jr. chops one to second base, and that is 2 for the price of 1. Austin Gauthier starting a double play. We were talking about the money that the Dodgers spent this offseason. And Eddie, you correctly said just because you spend all the money, it doesn't guarantee anything. Just look at the last 5 years. The team that's committed the most money to free agents is 1 for 5 even making the postseason, which is one of those statistics that seems so weird it can't possibly be true. That ball stays fair. That's a little knock for Brett Sullivan right there in the box score. That's a screamer.
Well, how about that, though? It backfired on him. Again, if Herrera, who is behind the plate, let the ball roll, rightfully so, because Sullivan didn't get out of the box. He noticed that. Watch, he stops right there. So it starts foul, and he lets it roll fair, and he's like, okay, I have a chance. But he did not pick up the ball well, and by not doing so, Sullivan gets the first. Might give that an error. What do you think, Tim?
Well, I used to be an official scorer. It was a very hard job, by the way. I would have given him a hit there, but
it has been scored a hit. So
you have softened up through years.
Hunter Fiducia stays error-free here in spring training. But that's an amazing graphic, right? The last 5 years, the team that spent the most money, 1 for 5 going to the postseason. The Dodgers are not going to miss the postseason. It would have to take several insane acts for that to happen. But there is something to be said about the parity in this game. The last 10 years, 9 teams have won the World Series. 14 teams have made the World Series. And all the money the Dodgers spent will help their chance, but they still have to face the reality of a best-of-5 series come October.
It's just harder to win also to go through that gauntlet, right? You're able to win the division or get into the postseason. Anything can happen in a best-of-5, then best-of-7 series, and that's the hard part. But the Dodgers have a really good team. I still think the Atlanta Braves are the best team in the National League. And I know the Dodgers are the favorites, but the way that the Braves showed up last year in that lineup from top to bottom and their pitching, it's absolutely ridiculous as well.
And all that money the Rangers spent that year, they didn't win, but they won the World Series the next year. So in a way,
West Coast primetime, the Predators and the Kings in Los Angeles, 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific, ESPN Plus and Hulu. To the 8th we go. This is the 11th pitcher for the San Diego Padres here in the opening game of spring training is Javian Sandridge. Dodgers with 2 huge innings, 8 in the first, 6 runs in the 6th. They batted around twice, and the team that is the World Series favorite by betting odds has put up 14 to open the spring season. Ryan Ward, the batter against Sandridge.
Ricardo, as a really young player, did you ever do something in spring training, like your first spring, that really opened some eyes and you said, this was a hugely important spring for me?
I thought every spring for me was important. I wasn't that everyday guy coming in, so I needed to be able to do all the little things right, especially running the bases. You know, you look at what coaches, you try to focus on what managers, coaches, front office is like, and it's players that don't lose games on the bases. That's one thing that you can control, yet also be aggressive, but be smart aggressive. And that's what I think has lacked in this game. And we talked about how many outs through the years have been made on the bases, Tim.
Right.
And screaming into the Dodger dugout from Hunter Fiducia. Was added to the 40-man roster this offseason. Could be the first catcher up if there's an injury to Will Smith or Austin Barnes. Oh, frozen lemonade apparently in the stands. Where's that been for 7 innings?
So, Eduardo, is there any chance, if this is a Dodger circus all year, with people in the clubhouse everywhere they go, people want to beat them, is there any way that works against the Dodgers as they move forward?
It shouldn't, and it shouldn't come as a surprise. I think they knew as soon as Shohei Ohtani said, as soon as they were courting Shohei Ohtani, they knew that they were going to have this frenzy, and the players have been prepared. Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, those are the leaders in that clubhouse. They were prepared for this.
To the left side by Fiducia, and the catch is made. Mason McCoy with a tumbling grab from shortstop.
Tim, that's a great play right there by Mason McCoy, going big time to his right. Look where he starts off. To the pull side, he has to shade from the sun, battles the sun, and still makes a great play communicating with his third baseman that he has the ball.
He ran a long way to get that and almost had to run into his third baseman. Very impressive.
Mason McCoy, who had a very, very brief time with the Blue Jays last year. 1 at bat, struck out in his big league debut. Hoping to get back there with San Diego, 28-year-old infielder. That's got to be an awfully tough thing as a player, to get the call up, to finally get to the show, get 1 at bat, strike out, and then you're designated for assignment, you sent back to the minors. You don't want to have the Moonlight Graham career. And he did score a couple of runs as a pinch runner. But hopefully Mason McCoy gets back up there, gets another chance, and hopefully he has a nice long big league career. But
I'm going to take the ladder.
#1.
I'm going to take the ladder.
Well, you think this is a good story for him if he never gets a hit?
100%. You get to the big leagues. I mean, you look at how many players have been able to wear the major league uniform. A little over 23,000. I'm 100%. I mean, that's success right there.
Mason, I want you to get a hit just to be
that's
no matter what he
right
says.
There.
He should get the first home plate that he notes from the first day of spring training. Hey, good news for the Pirates. Mitch Keller, after an all-star year, a 5-year extension. The Marlins have their new shortstop, Tim Anderson, really looking for a bounce-back season after a tough 2023. And tough news for the Mets. Another year where the Mets lose their opening day starter before the year. Kodai Senga, a mild strain of the posterior capsule in his shoulder. He'll be shut down until the symptoms lessen, and he'll begin the season on the injured list. So tough news for the Mets, who are not expected to be a major contender this year, but with the extra wild card spots, you never know. In a National League where it looks like the Braves and the Dodgers at the top, and then the Phillies off a terrific season, the Diamondbacks the National League champions last season, but a lot of spots open, a lot of teams that should be in contention for the wild card berths in the National League this year. Eduardo Salazar, the new Dodger pitcher, in his 14-1 game. 19th pitcher. We've seen 36 position players. So just your run-of-the-mill day 1 of spring training. Deep, deep, deep into the bag of non-roster invitees. And somehow Tim has information on every one of those 55 players.
Not today.
Nathan Martorella is the batter here against Salazar. Martorella, it's a charge into 1 out to right field. This ball is going to stay in the yard in the sun. Jose Ramos tracks it down. All right, more spring training tomorrow. We'll see if it's a little more competitive. The Dodgers and the Padres game 2. We'll go down the road to Glendale, Camelback Ranch. And then Tuesday, March 5th and Thursday, March 7th, the aforementioned Mets in a spring training Subway Series with the Yankees, the Braves, and the Red Sox. Thursday, March 7th, all those games on ESPN and the ESPN app. See the Yankees and the Red Sox on that graphic, Tim. American League East promises to be very competitive again. There are the Red Sox represented on a t-shirt. They are assumed to be last in the division after a pretty quiet year. The Orioles won it last year. The Yankees get one. Soto, hopefully for their sake, a healthy Carlos Rodon. The Rays won 99 a year ago. The Blue Jays still a ton of talent. Here are the odds in the AL East, which may be the most competitive division again. How do you see it shaking out?
Well, last year I picked 4 teams from the East to make the playoffs. Only 3 did because the Yankees missed out. This is a really strong division. The Red Sox are not a 5th place team, even though I believe they are in this division. Eddie, this is the strongest division top to bottom in the big leagues for me.
Yeah, this is a tough division to pick from. Look, the Orioles, a lot of people wonder if they're for real with what they did last year. I say yes. I say they're deep, and they're only getting better, especially on the pitching side. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with the Red Sox, and especially in Alex Cora's last year of contract. See how that ends up.
Kevin, you cover the Orioles, of course, and it'll be fascinating. Well, of course, Corbin Burns might have been the biggest pickup in a trade by anyone in the offseason. Throws a cutter at 97 miles an hour. He's a Cy Young candidate every year. He's durable. He's exactly what the Orioles needed. That was a much needed deal by Baltimore.
Especially given the news from day 1 of camp last week. Kyle Bradish, who finished 4th in the Cy Young last year, a UCL sprain. Now he feels good. He got an injection, a PRP injection, a platelet-rich plasma injection. He's throwing up to 90 feet. But you hear UCL sprain, and you get worried. That sometimes leads to a UCL tear and Tommy John surgery. Right now, the Orioles are feeling optimistic. Bradish going to start the year on the IL. John Means as well. So they get Corbin Burns. And the Orioles may need him because the Yankees, you figure, can't be any less healthy, you would think, than they were last year. And even though the Yankees were 20 games back in the division, they are the betting favorites to win the American League East, adding Juan Soto and getting Carlos Rodon and Nestor Cortez back to full strength.
Well, we saw the loss that they had last year when they didn't have Aaron Judge for quite some time. They're just a different team without Judge. And now you add Soto to that with a healthy Aaron Judge and a slimmed out Giancarlo Stanton. I'm curious to see who this team is going to be, but I don't want to face them. I think offensively they're going to be on base a lot. They're going to create a lot of havoc, and they're going to put a lot of pressure on the opposing pitching staffs.
Another really cool story in spring training is Jackson Holliday of the Orioles. Is he going to make the team? If he does, what position is he going to play? Is he going to be a second baseman? Is he going to be a shortstop? I remember the first time I met him, he was 4 years old. And Matt Holliday, his dad, said, Jackson, show Mr. Kirkshin batting stance. Show him how Ichiro hits. And 4-year-old Jackson Holliday is showing us how a major leaguer hits. He was pretty advanced then, and he is still pretty advanced.
Did Ken Griffey Jr. say anything to you that day?
You know, some people actually retire.
Yeah. Future Jackson Holliday right there, maybe. Who knows? Jackson, by the way, is 20 now, and the consensus #1 prospect in baseball. And there's a good chance he will be part of the Orioles opening day roster. As Graham Pauley works a second walk of the inning. 2-on for the Padres with 1 out in this 14-1 game.
Well, this is why spring training is so great, because the second year that Ken Griffey Jr. played professionally, The Mariners did not want him to make the major league team because he was only 19 years old, and they didn't think he was ready. So they lined him up against every great left-handed pitcher in the Cactus League, thinking he's not going to get through this. Instead, being Ken Griffey Jr., he tore up spring training, and they had no choice but to keep him, and that's how his big league career began. That's what we call a great, great player.
Jacob Marcy batting for the Padres here. Hey, you said it with Ethan Salas, right? Like he's 17. Age is just a number with some of these guys. Jackson Holliday's 20. Fernando Tatis Jr. broke in right around age 22. The young talent in the game, and there's some of it in these organizations, is at an amazing, amazing level. In fact, the top 2 prospects in the game are Jacksons. Jackson Holliday with the Orioles, and then the Brewers have a pretty good Jackson of their own. Jackson Chourio may be their shortstop of the future, or an infielder at some position of the future for Milwaukee. But still looks like a contender in the Central despite trading Corbin Burns. Our own Kylie McDaniel has Jackson and Jackson in the top 10. Junior Caminero got a cup of coffee with the Rays. Wyatt Langford, Dylan Cruz. Evan Carter's number 6 and was a big part of a World Series winner already. So he certainly enhanced his standing, a huge part of that Rangers World Series title.
But I just think what Salas does is so unique. He's behind the plate. He's advanced, understands how to set up hitters at the age of 17. That is absolutely ridiculous compared to all the others that, yes, they play defensive positions. But being behind the plate, that's a skill set that it's hard to teach. And it comes with experience.
I just saw the Rangers the other day. Langford is maybe ready to play. Evan Carter, two of those guys are in the top 6 of Kylie's list. But you're right, Eddie. When you're a catcher and you're this age, it changes the dynamic. And he's a palindrome.
Does that help you on the scouting scale? Salas, who swings through strike 1 in his second at-bat of big league camp. Ethan Salas, the 9th best prospect in baseball, and according to Kylie McDaniel. Padres farm system in good shape, 4th overall in Kylie's rankings.
Salas not leaving that batter's box this time.
He was called out on a pitch timer violation, our first of spring. A 3-2 count in the 6th inning. Born June 1st, 2006. And yes, I know the collective groan that just came through the screen from all of you at home.
My sneakers are older than that.
I actually believe that, Tim. Those sneakers are a little bit younger than that. Feet firmly planted in the box as Salas rips through strike 2.
Got a text from a buddy saying, how can you call a young player out on a violation like that in spring training? Well, this is the time you do that, and you learn he will never let that happen again, as Eddie's pointed out. Staying in the box.
Yeah, but we built it up so well.
He is anchored to that box right now, glued to the dirt with 2 strikes. And Salas will take a called 3rd strike. So a pitch timer strikeout. Just under a month from today, March 20th and March 21st, Major League Baseball kicks off the season with the Seoul Series. Yoshinobu Yamamoto expected to be the opening day pitcher against Joe Musgrove. These 2 teams, the Dodgers and the Padres, will begin the regular season in South Korea. 5:30 in the morning Eastern time. Get up early. That's 2:30 a.m. in LA and San Diego, so maybe just don't go to bed for a while. Both those games will be on ESPN from Seoul, South Korea. It'll be a pretty special way to kick off the season.
I'll be up. I'll be watching.
Will you be?
I will be.
Where will you be watching from, Eddie?
That'll be Seoul, Korea.
So Eddie, how are you planning that trip to make sure you're at your best at the mic when the game starts?
I'm getting there early, Tim. I'm getting there early. Flying out on the 13th, getting there on the 14th, and hit the food. That's what I'm doing. Korean barbecue, here we come. Bibimbap. Let's go.
Will you make it to the game? Or are you just going for a week-long culinary excursion?
That too, with Daniel Kim and Carl Ravitch.
Have you been to Seoul?
I have not. I have not. So I'm looking forward to it, and I think this is a great experience that Major League Baseball is being able to provide.
1-2, Sean Reynolds, the 12th Padre pitch for the game to Cody Hosey. A lot of Major League Baseball international games this year. Will be back in Mexico City in April. The London series continues again.
Trying to pull the day-night doubleheader on the London series and then take it to the U.S. and do that Sunday night too.
I did the London series last year. It was great.
There will be, by the way, March 9th and 10th spring training. Red Sox raise the Dominican Republic series, Santo Domingo. Reynolds picks up a strikeout. 15th for Padre pitching, so the strikeout to run ratio is now better than 1-to-1 for San Diego.
Hey, Kevin, isn't this baseball 2024? 15 strikeouts, 14 runs allowed.
12 pitchers. By the way, 12 pitchers in a 9-inning game. That would be a regular season record, and our good friend Sarah Langs was kind enough to share that information with us. The Giants, October 4th, 2015, had 11 pitchers in a 9-inning game against the Rockies. 14 runs for the Dodgers, 8 in the first inning, 6 in the 6th. So they went for 2 twice and got it once. Didn't know it was a football reference, by the way. 3-0 for Trey Sweeney.
That's a football reference?
Yeah, 2-point conversion.
Oh.
There are sports other than baseball.
I've lost track of football ever since they went to the bubble screen and the skinny post, whatever that is.
I think those are two of the bands you saw open for Yellow Card. Bubble screen and skinny post. Walk for Trey Sweeney.
Yellow Card.
Tim did tell us before the game, for those of you wondering, and that's all of you, that he's been to 3 concerts in his life. One of which I recall was Dan Fogelberg.
College.
One of which was Kenny Chesney.
Yes.
And one of which obviously was Yellow Card.
Yeah, I had to take my daughter, who's in the 7th grade, and her 5 little friends to go see Yellow Card. So they said, yeah, the concert starts at 7:30. So I figured, great, we'll be done by 9:30. We'll be home by 10:30. Yellow Card went on at 10:30. I got the kids home on a school night at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I kept getting Yellow Card mixed up with Green Day, which I called Green Card. I screwed up the whole night. It was terrible.
So did you get a yellow card from the other parents?
I swear, I called the parents like 10 times saying I didn't know they had 6 bands playing before Yellow Card.
Well, you know, kids were sleeping all day and staying up all night. That's a Yellow Card song reference. You wouldn't have gotten that. Dalton Rushing is the batter. One of the top 100 prospects in what is once again a very deep Dodgers system. What's your favorite Yellow Card song, by the way? We have to know. The people are clamoring to know.
Again, Kevin, no one knows less about music than I do. I just found out that Molly Hatchet wasn't a woman.
Oh, my God.
Jethro Tull isn't a guy. I didn't know that either.
Eddie, you might have to do the rest of this inning.
No, I'm used to this.
Dalton Rushing strikes out, and there are 2 down. That's a person, Dalton Rushing. That is not a band. They did not open for Molly Hatchet. Ground ball, Travis Swaggerty. And let's head down Ocean Avenue to the bottom of the 9th inning. See if the Padres can put up a 13th spot. You never know in spring training. But what does it feel like to get the season going?
It's just a beautiful day when you're in the ballpark, you know. Spring training, the skies are blue, the grass is green, sun's coming out, beautiful, beautiful weather. It's about to enjoy baseball right now.
So you were teaching a little Spanish to Shohei and Yoshinobu Yamamoto yesterday?
Yeah,
how'd that go?
Yeah. I told Tani from the beginning that I'm gonna try to do something new for him in Japanese every day.
How much Japanese have you learned?
Not a lot.
How does having played middle linebacker help you on a baseball field?
I don't know. I feel like I'm trying to calm the rage all the time, but I think it made me just a little bit tougher.
You've got 7. Hold on to that lead as long as you can.
Hey, it's going to be short-lived, but I'm going to enjoy every day, boys.
Thanks, Doug.
All right, guys.
Part of the fun of spring training day 1. It is so great to have baseball back in our lives, and we'll have it back tomorrow at the same time, 3 Eastern, 1 local. Dodgers and Padres from Camelback Ranch in Glendale, the home of the Dodgers. LA, the big winner right now on day 1. They put up 8 runs in the first inning of the year and then 6 more in the 6th. They've got John Rooney on the mound. We saw some of the Dodger regulars today. Mookie Betts walked twice in 3 plate appearances. Teoscar Hernandez in his Dodger debut had a 2-run ground rule double in his first at bat as a Los Angeles Dodger. Expect to see more regular starters for the Dodgers tomorrow as these teams get set for opening day March 20th in Seoul, South Korea. They'll play the first of the 2 in the Seoul series. Ornelas back to the mound. John Rooney has the first out in the bottom of the 9th.
When Alex Cora, the Red Sox manager, played in spring training, he said, I was an I-4 guy. And I said, what does that mean? Well, he was training in Florida, and he was the guy that went on Interstate 4, I-4, to take all the trips and give the everyday players a bit of a rest. So that's how he described himself. I was an I-4 guy.
He was an I-4. I was an I-95, I-4, and I-75 packaged together. The trifecta. Actually, in my position, I actually loved going on the road. You ended up getting more at-bats. At home, a lot of the starters would stay home. On the road, it was like, that's where you can really, you know that you're going to go, you're going to get your starts, and you're going to get your starts against big league pitchers, except, you know, instead of those young pitchers throwing 100 and not knowing where it was going back then. So I appreciated the road.
Yeah, Alex told me he used to tell his manager, I'll take the trip, but I'd like to get 4 at-bats because it's going to make me better. I don't want to drive all that way on the bus and only get 2 at-bats and sit around.
Yeah, this can be fun yellow card time for us, but this is important for these young players here. These are the at-bats you get under the watchful eye of a big league staff. Dave Roberts is watching. Mike Schilt is watching. Chandler Siegel getting his first at-bat of the spring here.
And it's not only that, as the spring moves on, it's also having these young players be able to play alongside a big leaguer that stays with them on the road. And I think that also, you start creating that chemistry and that sense of belonging as well, as for a young player to be able to play alongside a big leaguer on the road.
I know when a big leaguer was in camp with a minor leaguer with Derek Jeter for the first time, or somebody like that. That's really important to them, to hang out with them and see how they conduct themselves.
In the right from Siegel, Jose Ramos. And the Dodgers are 1 out away. Again, it was started by Gavin Stone. He and Michael Grove with scoreless innings. Alex Vesia, the only Dodger to allow a run today.
See, and these are, you look up and down, these are all scouts. They're looking at their list. They're there. They're behind home plate. There's a boatload of them. So you're not only playing for your own team, you're playing for all other 28 teams that are not present here right now. And so you have to know that as a young player. Never know when you're going to be that player to be named later, or there's a trade that makes all of a sudden opens up a position for you with another organization.
If we know anything about A.J. Preller, he's not done. There are still moves to be made for the San Diego offseason. In a sense, only just begun.
AJ is never done. He never sleeps. He plays basketball every morning at 6 a.m. and then he works the rest of the day, always trying to improve the team.
Another question, is Andrew Friedman done? The Dodgers done enough, spending over $1 billion this offseason. Brett Sullivan stays alive on a 1-2. Rest of the league's going to get going on Saturday. Dodgers and Padres have the show to themselves to open spring training as they'll start the season about a week early in Seoul. Sullivan goes down swinging, and that is that. There's a good chance the Major League Baseball season ends this year with the Los Angeles Dodgers win. It will begin with one, 14-1 as they take down the San Diego Padres. Great time here in Peoria with Tim, Eddie, Alden, our entire team. Kevin Brown, we'll see you tomorrow in Glendale. For now, we'll see you all in Bristol.